All right, hello everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Let's see, who do we have? We have Nobody in Dungeons. Welcome back, buddy. Arif Hossein, welcome back as well. Arashi Hikomori, welcome. That's a new name. I don't know if it's a new name or a new person or both, but welcome, welcome. If you're new or not, glad to have you. And Silent Echo, about to grab some grub. Well done. I just ate a muffin and I am nursing a berry smoothie over here that my wife brought me after she got back from the gym. So, good stuff. Oh, the Stream Elements bot is running. I thought I turned that thing off. It's back from the dead. It resurrected itself like a Diablo villain. All right. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that. How's everybody doing? Doing well. I'm excited to try out this new format here. So I've been noticing in some of my streams where we're just doing gameplay and hanging out, there's nothing wrong with that, right? It was fun, but I kind of started to lose steam in about like the last hour or so. So I feel like 2 hours of Let's Play is kind of like my sweet spot where I'm going to be firing on all cylinders and everything. And then after that, it kind of just like degraded into, you know, just regular old conversation and stuff, which was cool. But I would like to kind of structure that a little bit more, and this will actually help me splice these streams up into other content for the channel. I'm thinking that might help with pace of content release. Something I've struggled with since I've had this channel. So I think what we're going to start off with here, we're going to do some news. And I'm not going to be like a news channel or anything. It's not going to be a comprehensive thing. It's just going to be Skyrim stuff, BGS stuff, and then maybe some Skyrim adjacent stuff with other RPGs and things like that. And we can discuss these things here. I would love to hear your thoughts on some of these things. So if you have any news items or anything that you want to discuss, go ahead and throw it into chat and we'll talk about it a little bit. Or if you have any, you know, thoughts or opinions on the stuff that we're bringing up here, let me know how you feel about this stuff. And then after that, we'll go into a mod showcase. So newish stuff that caught my eye on the Nexus and things that I can actually showcase well. So things like, you know, the animated weapon move sets and stuff like that. I don't have my game set up for that. And it's hard for controller players to kind of get that working anyway. So probably not going to be showing off a whole lot of that stuff, but things like new armor sets, new weapons, maybe like new spell packs and things like that I can go over. And then I have set up a profile in MO2 that I have these installed on so that we can go over. You can see them in action. And yeah, I can just go back to my old profile and not worry about corrupting my saves there. So we have a few here that I can go over. And then I have a creator showcase here that I'm going to go over. These might be people from the community. They might be just smaller channels that I want to go over and, you know, give some exposure to. So if you have anybody you want to nominate for that, again, if you have like a mod you want me to cover, it probably won't be this week, but maybe next week. Let me know either in the comments of the video or in the chat. Go ahead and post them. I'll take a look at it later and maybe get them in there. Or if I'm looking at it live, we'll do that too. So yeah, creator showcase. If there's a creator you want me to cover, if there's a channel that nobody else is watching that you think is awesome, let me know and we'll take a look at it. And then, oh, and by the way, let's adhere to the community terms of service on this too. Let's stay away from the political stuff. Let's stay away from you know, the heavily opinionated. You know, yeah, use your better judgment on that. Let's keep it video games here, huh? Had to put out that disclaimer there. And then I'm gonna go over what I've been playing. This is probably gonna be a very short segment here, just some other games that I've been playing. And then after that, we'll hop right back into the Mage character. We'll do some Let's Play in Skyrim. How does that sound to everybody? Pretty good. Let me see here. Haster's in. Welcome, Haster. Hope you're doing well today, buddy. Okay, so all these open world games now and setting new standards like your Souls-like, you think BGS will take some inspiration from those games? I hope they don't. I mean, some inspiration's fine, yes. Let's get some I would like to see their formula evolve, but I don't want to see it evolve too much. These games are home for me, right? These things have, you had me at Skyrim. There you go. Welcome, Ireshot. Hope you're doing well. These games are like home for me. If they change too much, then it's gonna hurt. Like the things that BioWare are doing with Veilguard, I think it looks awesome, but I am not like a Dragon Age player at all. A lot of these steadfast Dragon Age players are kind of hurt about what they've been seeing from Veilguard. And maybe we'll talk about that a little more next week. We got a lot to talk about today. Not from Souls-like specifically, but just better combat in general. BGS combat is just terrible. I will say that Starfield has done a pretty good job with combat. I thought the shooting mechanics work really well in Starfield, but that's not gonna really translate over to Elder Scrolls, right? Because that's mostly melee based, and then, you know, bow and arrow, they don't really have a bow and arrow. I guess they do in Fallout 76, and people seem to like that. But like archery and stuff is a completely different ball of wax and shooting mechanics. And the Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and Starfield formula for melee is a bit lacking. If Skyrim feels like that with melee, I'm not going to be happy about it. Right? Politics is dumb and video games aren't, so let's keep things to video games. Yeah, glad we're on the same page there. Sounds good. Look up a Let's Play by Lyle Schnub and his Skyrim LP. Cool. We'll take a look at that a little later. For right now, I'm going to stick to the script. But yeah, I will talk about stuff in the chat, and I will go over it later. So if I miss something in chat, we can talk about it next week. Try Fallout London. Loving it. Ooh, I have not tried Fallout London yet, but someday I will. Yeah, that's the kind of thing with games right now, right? Is a lot of people like to hate on them. A lot of people bemoan the state of gaming right now, but there's really never been a better time to be a gamer. My backlog is like hundreds and hundreds of games long. All of them are worth playing in some way, shape, or form. Somebody likes them somewhere, and I got them all for super cheap. And now I'm struggling to find time to play them all, right? So there's that. Let's see, we got James Ansel. Let's see, I've said hi to... Oh, and there's Magus too. Welcome, buddy. All right. So, first piece of news, the only piece of news that I have for actually official news for Skyrim is that the old LE version actually updated. This was sure to piss a lot of people off because this game hasn't been touched in years and years and years and years and years, and now here comes an update. Turns out we're okay. It's just a launcher update to make it work with other platforms like the Steam Deck, cloud platforms, and things like the ROG Ally and stuff like that. It's all... The game version didn't actually update. I haven't heard any reports of anybody's game breaking because of this. So I think that's fine. It's just a launcher update. Nothing to worry about. Now, the rest of the news I have is there's the Starfield update. There is some lighting changes and stuff like that. And then we got a Starfield Shattered Space deep dive. Now, this isn't going to be like the Starfield hour or anything. It's just right now, the expansion coming out is the biggest news coming out of Bethesda. So this week, we'll be talking about Starfield for a few minutes. Next week, we'll be talking about something else, most likely. But then also we had the PS5 Pro technical presentation, which came out to mixed reviews like everything these days. There's some stuff to talk about there that is Skyrim adjacent and BGS adjacent. So we'll spend some time talking about that too. But let's take a look at this new Starfield update. Now, this is a free update that comes to everybody who has the game that is actually updating their game. If you're avoiding updates because it's going to break your mods and you're probably not going to see this for a little while. This is still in beta. This will come out in the next week or so. I'm kind of hoping that they don't put this out alongside or with the expansion. I feel like that's too much all at once. And then this update will get lost with whatever's happening in that expansion, which would be sad. So I'm hoping this comes out in the next week, and then the expansion comes out the week after. The expansion's set for the 30th of September, I think. So the main stuff about this is more better lighting, and we've seen a bunch of lighting improvements with this mod or with this game since it came out. And we have a thread on Reddit here. What's this dude's name? Din Disco. He posted both on the Starfield and the No Sodium Starfield subreddits. So if you're in those at all, you would have seen this. And a lot of what they're doing here is very reminiscent of RLO, Realistic Lighting Overhaul for Skyrim. And what RLO does more than anything else is it gets rid of the ambient lighting. So you're not gonna, you can see here, like there's just light everywhere that kind of artificially brightens the picture, and then it washes out the actual light sources here. So what RLL does is it removes the ambient lighting and then just kind of cranks up the actual lighting sources. So this was before and this is after. It looks so much better, right? I don't know why BGS for so long has been obsessed with ambient lighting. It's like most players who play BGS games, they probably never notice it because they don't know that it's better, that things can be better, right? But then you install something like RLO or what was the other one, ELFX, that removes these ambient lighting lights and then relies on just brighter light sources. How much better it looks. It's like transformational, right? So I'm glad that they're shifting their art direction to something like this. It looks so much better, especially with a lot of the light sources in Starfield. You get kind of like this cyberpunk vibe with like the neon lights and then like a lot of ambient shadows and things like that. So very good improvements here. They've already been doing this with a lot of areas in the game. So if you're semi up to date without this beta update, you're gonna see a lot of these. They did a lot of stuff in Neon, and now they're just touching up a lot of these other areas. This looks like almost completely different, way better, right? So it's like the whole thing just has this flashlight shining in, like an invisible flashlight shining in from like the bottom up or from the top down. They just get rid of that flashlight and just completely rely on these can lights in the ceiling and the lamp above the workbench over here. So good improvements there. Keep that up. All right, let me catch up on chat here. Hope everyone is enjoying their weekend so far. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the last cool-ish weekend that we're going to have for another week at least. I hope week after next it cools off again. We were in the 90s all week, and it was been beautiful in the nights and the mornings. It got a little warm during the day, but as long as you like stayed out of the sun, it was still like nice. Now it's going back up to the mid 100s. It's going to be crazy. Not hating criticism. Criticism of a game isn't hate. DA Veilguard looks too cartoony for me, plus the message that's being pushed. I don't know about any message being pushed, but the Veilguard stuff, I think Fextra Life touched on it, is that the facial animations and the facial models, they look really realistic, but then it's like it's pasted on top of like a Fortnite body model, and it looks kind of funny. But in the middle of like gameplay and stuff like that, I don't think you're ever gonna notice it. And the gameplay looks pretty good. Joined a few Pathfinder 2E groups. Hey, that's awesome. Other news is DICE has started work on next Battlefield. I heard a little bit about that, going back to its roots in Modern Combat. Really good and interesting. Yeah, I mean, Battlefield 4 was a big one, right? And then I feel like all Battlefield fans are waiting for a return to form for DICE to that Battlefield 4. I don't know that Battlefield 4 is ever going to happen again, right? But if they can just make things better, I think that'll earn a lot of fans back if they can take more steps toward that direction. When you get a chance, look at Kazan, the first Berserker, no rush. That I did actually see some previews of that. I'm trying to remember what channels I watched for the previews, but it did look really good. Only people really throwing a stink for Veilguard are the ones that have been playing Inquisition for the most part, decade, and prefer that style of game now. Inquisition, I haven't played any of them, really. They're in my backlog, and I kind of want to play them before I play Veilguard so I can make my own opinion on which one is better. I usually gravitate toward better gameplay But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I thought Inquisition was more action-based, and then Dragon Age Origin was more like CRPG point-and-click type stuff. Currently using Lux in my game and pretty satisfied with it. Nice. In Skyrim, yeah. Veilguard looking like WoW a little bit, yeah. New MGS Delta looks, yeah, it does. I'm kind of excited for that. Excited to see how it plays, but it looks really good. Forever Winter I haven't heard about, but I will put it on my list of things to look into for sure. Okay, so oh yeah, there was actually some other cool stuff in this update too. So previously they had fixed, let's see if I can find it here. Quests, shipbuilding. They had fixed this toggle flip glitch. So glitched ship builds in this game have been a community staple since the game came out. There are some funky little things that you can do by flipping a ship part back and forth, and that actually clears the collision on it so that you can actually overlap some parts. And this makes it so that you can fit like 4 engines in the place of where 2 would be, so you get a faster ship in the same amount of space. And then also allowed you to overlap some parts to get like unique looks and things going on. And the shipbuilding community has been going wild with this stuff, making some really cool ship builds. And then in one of the latest, it might have been the latest update actually, Bethesda patched that out and the shipbuilding community went wild. But luckily, one of the community managers caught wind of it and submitted a feature request to have the flip merge behavior toggleable in the settings. So with this update, you can actually turn that back on and get these glitched ship builds back, which is cool. They're listening. They put that back in for that community, which is great. And it shows that they're not trying to get rid of the fun that people are having with this game by quote unquote fixing it and balancing it. They're allowing people to create their own balance in this game, and that is a good step in the right direction, I think. And if we're talking about future Bethesda stuff, I would like to see more of that. The stuff that they added for one of the previous updates, where you can really fine tune your difficulty. And the harder you make things, the more experience you get, I thought was a fantastic, ingenious way of handling balance. Let your players figure out what they want in terms of their balance, because BGS does not know how to balance their games properly in terms of difficulty, in my opinion. It's either way too easy, and then the difficulty that they add is like not the right kind of difficulty, where they just add sponginess and take power away from the player. This allows you to tweak all that the way that you want it. And if you want to make it harder, you get bonus XP. I would like to see that in Elder Scrolls 6 if they do that. In fact, the settings menu has been a really good thing that they've implemented and improved on from their last games. So would like to see that. And then just a bunch of fixes, quest fixes, things like that. BGS games always have busted ass quests, so glad to see them fixing that. Anything else? Oh, okay, so yeah, now we have Shattered Space. Let's go ahead and just flip over to that, huh? So let me mute this, actually. We don't need that going over the top of my voice here. I remember that I almost never used the Pip-Boy light in Fallout 4. Yeah, no, Starfield now is dark in a lot of areas where it should be dark, and it is actually, I've been turning my flashlight on quite a bit in Starfield lately, which I think is good. Give the player a reason to use these tools that you're providing them, right? Also, Fallout London, after final completion, developers are looking to make you gain like it after the timeline could be close to the same. Not sure I understand what you're saying there, James. It sounds like they're trying to expand on that, on Fallout London. Also gravitate toward better gameplay, yeah. Johnny Bloodyfang, hey everyone, I don't think you all recognize me, but I used to go by Paladin McGuire. This is my new profile. Okay, cool, man. Well, new name or old name, welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Gameplay is king. DA Velgar's gameplay doesn't look all that great. Monster Hunter in DD2 is better. Well, we don't know until we've played it, right? That's another thing that I want to talk about. Let's let's shelve that for the second. But homogeneity in gaming is I think maybe becoming a problem, and Veilguard is definitely perpetuating that. Okay, so Shattered Space. What are we getting with Shattered Space? Well, we still don't know a whole lot. They called this video a deep dive, but they didn't really give us any new information on it. We knew that this was all going to be taking place in one area, in one densely handcrafted area. So we already knew that. It's going to be like a return to Solstheim with Dragonborn, Far Harbor. Well, let's see what else. Maybe even Nuka World, because there does seem to be some faction fighting going on here between the Zealots and sort of the Varun mainstream. But this also does promise to be very story and lore heavy, which a lot of people thought was missing from Starfield. So we're going to learn a lot about the Varun here. And we already have. They actually posted a timeline of... Let me see if I can find that. Official site. Man, Reddit, you know, say what you will about Reddit. Sometimes it's a cesspool. Sometimes it's a good place to get information. But in terms of just discoverability, it was a lot easier to find this by searching Google, and then it found it right away in Reddit instead of going directly to the site in Google. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but Reddit discoverability is they're definitely doing something better that its competitors are not. So yeah, we have a whole timeline here. They've already fleshed out the Varun lore even more with this timeline. It's still pretty shallow, but there is new stuff here that we didn't get in the game. Things like, you know, where this Archimedes ship came from. It grav drived, it jumped away from Mars orbit and disappeared for, you know, years. And then they went and they found this spot on Varun. They named it Varun Kai on Kavnik 1B is where they colonized, and they've kind of they did their settlement and their civilization separately and completely closed off from what the settled systems did, like the mainstream civilization did. They were able to sort of you know, maintain their religion in their bubble, in their echo chamber without outside influence for so long. And so when they did reemerge in society, they were like very, very weird compared to everybody else. And they tried to be diplomatic about that for a while, but there was still a lot of infighting between the Varun fundamentalists, like the Zealots, and then the other factions that, you know, wanted to be part of the settled systems and coexist peacefully alongside other people. And so I think that's going to be a lot what we go into with this expansion, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. Again, it looks like they're really cranking up the sources of light here, and then cranking down on the ambient stuff. Doesn't look like we're outside in the sun. Well, that does probably because there's a moonlight or something that we're going by. A lot of pink and purple on Varun Kai. It almost looks like an 80s music video, right? It definitely looks very alien compared to anything that we've seen. Oh, and then we get these venom trees. I don't remember what they're called, but if anybody remembers from that quest line where you're trying to find the Varun consulate ambassador in New Atlantis, that venom tree kind of got overgrown and started causing like hallucinations and stuff like that. Same trees from here. And this is really digging into the horror aspect of the game, which I thought they did really well. BGS is showing some good chops in their sci-fi horror in this game. Some of the best content in the game was like scary, like sci-fi, eerie type stuff on like deserted space stations and things like that. That's kind of where this game was firing on all cylinders. So it's good to see them leaning into that. And then these like gravitational anomalies, it looks like they're going to be adding some like 3D platforming exploration to this world to get to like different places on the map. And there's also like these ghostly figures that you're interacting with. Sometimes you're fighting with them, sometimes you're like not interacting with them at all, and it's just kind of like the ghostly flashback projections of some of the quests that we had in Skyrim, like the Mage's Guild quest line when you go to Labyrinthian and you see like the old ghosts and everything, seeing the backstory there. And then we have new enemy types, new weapon types, all that. But we already knew all that from the achievements list that they've already posted, so there was nothing really new. They said there was going to be some more stuff between now and when the game came out. This came out like a week ago, 5 days ago. But we haven't gotten anything new from them since, and the game comes out on the 30th, I think, so we don't really have a lot of time to learn more. I really hope that there's more to this than what's being shown right now, because if we had to wait a year for this and we're just getting a few new enemy types, a small like 5 to 10 hour story, and a couple new weapons, that's not going to be worth the wait, right? So I'm hoping to see more gameplay mechanic changes. We are getting craftable grenades in this one, 5 different types. And you got like this vortex mechanic. How they're phasing in from seemingly another world. It looks like these grenades are going to be harnessing into that a little bit. But yeah, I guess we'll see in a few days whether or not this expansion is worth the money. But I also want to see these creatures, these vortex horrors is what they're calling them. It seems like they're phasing in from other dimensions. If we could see that like more out in the game, more random encounters out in the world and stuff like that, maybe more POIs, more densely populated POIs out in the planets, gives us more to do. That would be cool, I think. But yeah, I still hope there's room for them to surprise me with some more gameplay mechanics. We'll see. We'll see. Let me catch up on chat here. Oh, the Fallout New London folks were on, or Fallout London were on BBC. That's awesome. One of my biggest problems with a lot of recent games is scale. They always put too much emphasis on the scale of games these days. Not every game has to be an entire digital multiverse. That's something that Shattered Space is scaling down. Now they said it's all going to be one sort of landable area, and it's going to be completely handcrafted. Now, that's either hyperbole or I'm reading in too much of what they're saying, because one landable area in Starfield is actually much, much larger than the entire playable area of Skyrim. And I really doubt in 1 year that they're going to completely handcraft a world that's much larger than Skyrim for an expansion in Starfield, right? A lot of people set themselves up for expectations that that's what we were getting with Starfield, with these huge explorable areas, but it's untenable. It's not feasible to develop something like that, and I believe this is going to be smaller, like something like Solstheim or Far Harbor. But if it's much smaller than that, then people are not going to be happy about it. Fallout London, after completion of mod, they're going and planning the first game, brand new base Fallout ID. Oh, okay, so a completely new game. Okay, that's kind of what the what was the one, the like the Clockwork City, what was it? It was a Skyrim mod for a long. It was like this dwarven ruin where everything was like clockwork and very machine based with robots and stuff, and then they went and they made their own game and their own engine afterwards and sold it independently. That kind of sounds like what the Fallout London team is doing. Also, game studios need to leave politics and political culture issues out of their game. Just make games like from the early 2000s. Well, that would make some people happy. The evolution of games as like a platform for art, which I do consider video games art, much like how movies are. I think some games shouldn't be dissuaded from exploring cultural and political ideas. That's how you expand people's minds and get them to see new perspectives. Art is very powerful for doing things like that. But that's not everybody's cup of tea, right? There still needs to be studios just making video games to have fun and play, right? And if that's what you gravitate towards, that's what you gravitate towards. But Some people like to experience video games as art. I played Hellblade 2 recently, and that game is very artistic, and that is actually my game of the year. And the gameplay in that's good, but it's not. It doesn't have like that gameplay loop that drags you back in like a well-designed arcade game or a fighting game or something would. That being said, there are still arcade games, fighting games, smaller indie games that don't really touch on all that stuff if you're trying to stay away from it. But I will agree that a lot of like the bigger AAA games have been really dipping their foot in the political waters lately, and some people don't mind it, some people do, but we're gonna leave it at that, right? Let's see. I just read in the description that politics discussion should be kept at a minimum, so don't answer my question, actually. Yeah. It's hard because I don't want to like squash conversation. I think that humanity really needs to get better at talking to each other about this stuff in a way that doesn't make us want to punch each other in the face. But at the same time, it's a very slippery slope. If I'm trying to talk about video game news and we're trying to celebrate the things that we have in common, like Skyrim and stuff like that, and then one mention of politics and like, what do you mean about that, is going to completely derail the conversation in the stream. And now all of a sudden we want to punch each other in the face again. And I don't want that. I don't think you want that. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's keep the sweet baby stuff out of it too. That just the mention of that's very political. Let's see. The idea of meaning won't be the same. Shadow of the Colossus, masterful in art. Yes, indeed. Ubisoft is the perfect example of... Oh. Yeah, I see where you're going with that, Silent. Yeah, let's quash that right now. Okay, so let's see. What's next? I think that was it for news, right? Oh no, PS5 Pro. Okay, here's one that everybody's gonna agree on as well. This isn't controversial at all. Okay, so PS5. The console coming out, it was very powerful when it came out. Yeah, it's difficult. As a member of many political groups and activist groups, I definitely understand how brutal politic combos can get. Yeah, we're playing video games here. Let's focus on video games. Going to Canada this weekend for the week. Awesome. I stayed in Vancouver a while back and it was beautiful. It was actually like absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so we had a technical discussion hosted by Dana Carvey. I mean, Mark Cerny. This guy looks just like Dana Carvey, doesn't he? Garth Algar, that you? Creepiness aside, the dude is like an actual visionary when it comes to like console architecture, video game technology and stuff. This guy's a stud. They actually spent, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 minutes on celebrating the PS5. Its shortcomings are actually very they're becoming more and more apparent, right? As new games come out, we have more 30 frames per second modes coming out, games just completely targeting 30 frames per second and not giving you the option to play 60 frames per second. The PS4 Pro, or the PS5 Pro, I'm sorry, they're promising that this, especially with like the first party games and some third party stuff, is going to be, they're promising that they're going to get rid of performance mode and fidelity mode, and now you're just going to get fidelity mode at 60 frames per second. But I really don't know that that's going to happen. It looks like a lot of the heavy lifting that they're going to be doing on this, they are going to get a boost to GPU power. They're going from like a 6700 AMD card to like a 6800 AMD card, right? But that ignores, that's just rendering, just raw rendering, just how many pixels you're going to put out in a certain amount of time. That there is a huge upgrade to the machine learning components, the CUDA cores in there that do like the upsampling and stuff. So that allows them to implement the machine learning upscaling, the AI driven upscaling. So they're going to have their own version of DLSS in this one. It's called PSSR. So on top of the huge boost that they're getting to GPU power, they're actually also going to get what's supposedly going to be a good super sampling. It's not going to be like FSR2 where it's all software driven and it leads to like really crappy image quality. This is going to be hardware driven, so it's going to look good. Now super sampling, so that people, you know, they don't know what, they just know basically what this is you take like a lower resolution image, like you can run the game at 720p, and then using AI upscaling, you can make that look good at 1440p or 4K or wherever you're going to run it. That's very expensive with compute cycles on the hardware. So, excuse me, burping. NVIDIA has a good hardware implementation of, they split that AI processing off onto its own chipset on a GPU, so that can handle it independently of what the actual GPU is doing, which is spitting out pixels onto your screen. The new PS5 Pro is going to do the same thing. So now instead of just getting like a 6800, we're getting like a 4070 Ti based, based on how well this PSSR stuff does. By the way, PSSR is, if anybody watches Digital Foundry, John Linneman lovingly refers to it as pisser, which the Sony marketing really should have figured out that that's what people were going to be calling it. But, you know, it didn't stop Microsoft with the Xbone and the SEX, Xbox SEX. So yeah, if this pans out, we're going to be getting fidelity mode graphics at 60 FPS or even higher, and we're going to get performance modes at like 120 FPS. Now, all this sounds great, right? Except for the price tag is $700, which makes it the most expensive console ever to have released. That includes the $650 Neo Geo that launched way back in the 90s. Now, you know, adjusted for inflation, that thing would have been like $1,500 now. But $700 right now in today's market is a lot to pay for a console. You are getting 4070 level graphics, and you would be hard pressed to build a 4070 gaming PC for $700. You might have to use, used or refurbished parts, or buy just a used gaming PC or something like that. Then you do also, there's an argument to be made that you're going to get a lot more out of the PC with the various types of software, various types of games and everything that you can play on it. It's customizable, it's upgradable. You can put a new graphics card in there, more RAM if you want to. But all that comes with a pain in the ass factor that a lot of gamers just don't want to deal with. So in my opinion, I think $700, they're probably still taking a loss on that, if not, making just a tiny bit of money. I feel like it's a good deal for the hardware that's going to be in it, depending on how this PSSR stuff comes out. But $700 is a tough pill to swallow for a console these days, right? $700 before or after taxes? Before taxes, and this is USD. I think it's probably more expensive in other parts of the world. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. The most replayed is the price, right? Because this has been the most controversial part of it. Let's see here. Here comes. So yeah, we have $700, 700 pounds, 800 euros, and 112,000 yen. I have no idea what the yen translates into, but even adjusting for currency rates and stuff like that, I've heard people just allegorically say that this $800 euros is actually more expensive than a $700 in dollars or pounds. And prices did go up. Sony did raise prices more in other parts of the world. I think a lot of places that use euros and yen are getting a stiffer price increase than folks in the US and some parts of Europe. RDR2 is all. That's another backlog game, man. That's what I'm saying. It's as much as we talk about how bad gaming is now. There's so many good games out there, just not enough time to play them, right? Yeah, it's in my backlog. It's on Steam, and I can't wait to play it. But I got other stuff I'm doing. You got a smoothie? I just got a smoothie too, man. Smoothies are good. I'm a fan of smoothies. He does look like Dana Carvey, right? Warm Sands to Karn in chat. Welcome, Tom. I hope you're doing well. Happy weekend. Happy weekend. Concourse supposedly costs Sony $400 million, so got to make up with these console updates. Yeah, we'll see. I don't foresee this selling all that well. I don't think it's going to sell like hotcakes. I think it's going to be a very limited release, and I think it's going to sell out. Actually, I had the foresight to get one of the detachable optics drives. So the PS5 Slim does not come with an optical drive, but it does come with an external drive. It's not really even externally. It's just like a module that you clip on to your PlayStation 5 Slim. I have a launch PS5 with the optical drive attached to it, but I do want to upgrade to this one now, and I'm going to be looking for the pre-orders in a few days here. But we knew, or I was listening to Digital Foundry, and Richard Ledbetter on there said he was surmising that maybe he should get a disc drive now. They're $80 list price, but he surmised that once this PlayStation 5 Pro was announced without a disc drive, that these things would sell out, and they did. And now you're finding them on eBay with scalpers at a 200% markup, 100% markup. And I think that the supply has actually they've been restocking this thing pretty well after the PS5 Pro, but I'm glad to have gotten in there when I did. So that gamble did pay off. I really had to fight hard for my PSVR 2 PC adapter. And that's kind of like not a mass produced thing where they are expecting a lot of people. Is a very niche item. Then that thing sold out all over the place too because of goddamn scalpers and their bots. Right? Scum of the earth. So of course the scum of the earth is going after these disk drives now. That people who are going to be buying this are people who are power gamers that like to have games on their shelves and things like that, and then they're wanting to play their library of games with their collections and have the best of everything. And to not include a disc drive on this, I think, is a miss on Sony's part. But the promise of fidelity modes at 60 FPS is what's getting me. I just recently got a new TV that kind of fills out my living room a little bit better, much better picture quality, much better input latency, and all that. And I've been playing a lot of PS5 games on there, and it's fantastic. A lot of the games are amazing, but those games that target 30 FPS are just, they're gross. They're a grind to get through. They might look nice in terms of image quality, but then the 30 FPS, it's hard. It's hard to look at anymore once you get used to higher frame rates. Which brings me to the next topic, 30 FPS games. So in this presentation, Mark Cerny actually said that the reporting that they're getting back from user playtime on the PlayStation is that these games that offer a performance mode or an image quality mode, between 75 and 80% of people are choosing the performance mode over the picture quality mode. That's huge. That's a huge amount of people that prefer the smoother 60 FPS frame rates over better image quality at lower frame rates, right? And even here, you can see the difference. The one on the left looks really choppy compared to the one on the right. You can tell side by side that 60 frames per second is much better. So we have all these we have all this data, right, saying that people vastly prefer 60 frames per second to 30 frames per second. And yet we have developers still targeting 30 frames per second. They insist on it. They really hardcore insist on it. So what is it? Where's the disconnect here, right? Gamers are saying no. Gamers are insisting they want 60 frames per second. Developers are insisting no, you want 30 frames per second. When does this finally sink in, and now, I mean, split the difference. Let's do like a 40 frames per second, right? That actually looks pretty smooth on most 60 frames per second monitors in terms of, you know, frame timing and how that actually gets displayed. But no, so few people these days actually prefer, or can even stomach a 30 frames per second mode anymore. And Avowed, right? Obsidian came out saying that they're targeting 30 frames per second with Avowed. Avowed looks cool. It looks like Skyrim gameplay where you got your dual wielding, you got spells that you can mix and match with weapons and things like that. It's looking like it's coming along pretty well, but if they're targeting 30 frames per second for that game does not look good enough to be a 30 frames per second game. And that caused a huge backlash for them. They have to know at this point that people want 60 frames per second. Stop targeting 30. Maybe you don't get as many effects, maybe the lighting doesn't look as good, but if you're getting that smooth 60, people are going to be happy, right? Am I right? And that goes across all consoles and everything, and even like mid-range PCs, a lot of developers will target 30 frames per second on those, like BGS did with Starfield before they came out with the performance mode that everybody switched to and said was superior. Yeah, Concord was a huge miss for Sony. That didn't really have anything to do with the developers or anything. That was just, you know, Sony being late to the party with the live service hero shooter genre. That game was not good enough to take anything away from Overwatch or get people who got sick of Overwatch to come back to the genre. Euro lost a lot of what it used to be more than the Brit. Yeah, I mean, this stuff is all fluid all the time, right? I more keep up with what the dollar is doing compared to everything else, and the dollar goes up and down compared to the euro and the pound all the time. It's fluid. It's like the weather. I don't think you can make too much of it. You know, it's not so much how much money you have, but what you can buy with your money, right? I just got a PS5 recently, so can't wait for this too. No hurry or FOMO for me. Yeah, we're talking about huge backlogs of games. A lot of those PlayStation exclusives are coming to PC, but a lot of the PC ports these days for games that were developed on targeting consoles, the PC port is actually inferior. I played a few of them recently. Star Wars Jedi Survivor was a terrible PC port. It was actually not even great on PlayStation 5, but it was much better on PlayStation 5, much more playable. And that was all due to performance and things like that. Let's see, Final Fantasy VII Remake, far superior on the PlayStation, on the base PlayStation 5 than it was on PC, and that had to do with like DirectX inconsistencies and things like that on PC. It was just far better optimized on the PS5 than it was on PC. So I ended up playing that on PC, or on PlayStation 5. The Last of Us Part 1, the remake of The Last of Us, plays much better on a PS5 than it does on PC. But then there are plenty of other PC ports that do work well, especially the Sony ones. God of War was great. Returnal had some issues at first, but they've patched that up. That one seems to be working pretty well now too. Ghost of Tsushima, I think, had a pretty good PC port. I just stick to PC. It's maybe more expensive, but you get what you pay for. Yeah, I'm mostly a PC gamer guy too, but I think in terms of the sit back on your couch and you play a video game, just relax and play a video game, that the consoles, they're onto something, right? With the PC, you got to have a keyboard, you got to set up your operating system, have your all the different stuff installed, make sure your drivers are up to date. Console just does all that for you. Windows is also very hungry for resources, so the operating system on the PlayStation operates much more efficiently than Windows does, so you get every last drop of performance out of a PC from an optimized PC port, or every bit of resources out of the PS5 on a game that's optimized for PS5, whereas on a PC, your computer's running all kinds of stuff in the background while you're playing a game. Windows gets kind of hungry with that stuff, so PS5 is a little more efficient. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I do tend to gravitate toward PC because that's where all the mods are for Skyrim, right? Paras Sangvi, welcome, buddy. Welcome back. I think I saw you last week. I'm doing well. Having a good start to the weekend so far. Silent Echo really got a murder boner for Ubisoft. Okay, let's see here. For something like Baldur's Gate, 30 FPS might work because it's turn-based, but something like Call of Duty needs to have higher FPS. Yeah, and that's the problem that I had with Final Fantasy, was it 15 or 6? I think it was 15. The game that came out last year. I was super excited for it because they got the Devil May Cry combat director to come do the combat for Final Fantasy 15. No, it's Final Fantasy 16. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the box right now. The game looked absolutely stunningly beautiful. 30 FPS during cinematic scenes and cutscenes and stuff like that, it was fine. I had no problem with it whatsoever. But as soon as I tried to pan the camera at 30 FPS, it was, I could see the jankiness of the herky-jerkiness of it. And that game was actually touted for its quote-unquote smooth 30 frames per second because the frame timing was super consistent in that mode. Didn't matter to me. All I saw was choppy camera movement. It kind of sucked. And then the performance mode on that, the 60 FPS mode, worked fine in combat because they scaled down the resolution so far that they're just kind of brute forcing that 60 FPS out. But the frame timing on the 60 FPS, it was not a consistent 60 FPS throughout like much of the traversal of that game. So that made it hard to play. Really cool game, marred by performance issues, just like Jedi Survivor. Okay. Man, we talked a lot about news, didn't we? That was awesome. Get it out of our system now. All right, what do we got? Oh yeah, mod showcase. Okay, let's do the mod showcase. We're gonna do this really, really quick here, or at least I'm gonna try to do it really quick here. So these are new mods that I have seen pop up on the Nexus that looked pretty cool. First up is this leveled list crash fix. So every once in a while, you like show up in an area and your game just crashes out of nowhere and you have no idea what's going on, right? I think that a lot of times that's because there's an NPC or a vendor or something that shows up with something in their inventory that your game doesn't like. And it turns out that there's a 255 ID limit for items in like an area when you load. This game fixes that. It makes it so, or this mod fixes that so that when you load the game into an area, you're not going to get a crash to desktop because it ran out of IDs to assign to these items that might be in an NPC's inventory or something like that. No reason not to have it as far as I could tell so far. There is, I have the 1.5 version. They did port it for 1.5.97, which is what I'm running. If you have a mod list that you've been running for a few years, this is likely the version that you're running. But they do also have the level crash fix for the latest 1.6 whatever you might be running. Install the leveled list fixer. Yeah, it's a SKSE. It's completely safe to drop in mid save. Like I said, I don't think there's any reason not to have this. At least not that I've seen so far. This was a good one. This has been on Hot Mods list for a few weeks now, or a couple weeks at least. If it's even been about a week. It looks like it's only been out for about a week, but it's been up there. Both the 1.5 version and the 1.6 version have been up there. Not really anything I can demonstrate for that one, but yeah. All right. So this other one came out on the 4th. So a few weeks ago, this one looked really good. This is kind of like a Mongolian heavy armor themed kind of armor set here. I thought this looked really good, so I downloaded it. It does have physics on it, but it's kind of, it is very subtle. You'll see what I mean here in a second. There is a new mod that lists missing broken meshes. I think I saw that one pop up. That one's a little harder to demonstrate too. Is that like an Xedit script or something that runs and this poops out like a list in your overwrite folder of mods that have broken meshes? Kind of like the gray face detector. Yeah, Asian gaming, Japan, Korea, and even China, they're killing it lately. Well, I think the big thing about Ubisoft is their formula is like super tired. And we were talking about scale of games earlier and how Ubisoft's the worst, the most egregious offender of that is just making their games bigger and putting more filler and more filler into them. And they've acknowledged the fact that people don't like that anymore. But I don't know that I've yet to see them break the mold of that. We'll see how AC Shadows is. I haven't heard reports. Actually, I have heard reports. The Avatar one, the Mists of Pandora or something like that. That one people are saying is less like filler oriented. Okay, guys, I'm really proud of myself here. So I switched sex on a lot of my characters because I needed to have like a pre-built character to showcase some of these mods, and some of them are female models only. So I started off, my warrior's name is Fortius Certus, and I changed it over to Fortius Cervix for the female one. Get it? Fortius Cervix instead of Fortius Certus. And then Calendil Talandril became Galendil Talandgirl. I'm a genius. All right. So Fortius, the dude Fortius, is actually going to, oh geez. What did I do? That's fine. Just to show off the armor, we should be fine. Good one, thank you. I'm proud of myself. Pig iron armor set, let's do this. Grandpop jokes for the win. I've been on a big kick about the dad jokes lately. I have a gallstone that I've been getting imaging and stuff done. Oh yeah, here we go. So I already had this pre-saved. So this looks pretty good. This one does have physics, right? And you can't really tell too much, but it's really just the tassets around the waist. As he walks, you can see him like waving a little bit, which is a subtle flare, but it's pretty good. This doesn't really fit like a human knight type, right? But it maybe would fit something like an Akaviri berserker or something, or a like an orc berserker or something like that. It's very kind of barbaric looking, but not like Nord barbarian, more like orcish barbarian. Very Mongolian themed, I think. If you picture like Genghis Khan and his like his hordes of warriors sprinting into battle, they're going to be wearing something much like this, and it looks effective. It looks very kind of I don't know, authentic. It is not like overly stated. It's not like WoW high fantasy, you know, overly done LARPy type stuff. It looks effective. It looks realistic. And that's kind of what I go for in my armor and weapon mods. This one does come with a mace. It looks kind of brutal. Again, much more realistic looking of a mace than a lot of what you see with these Morning Stars and the high fantasy type stuff. And it does come with a shield, and I didn't hook this up to all good, but I do like the fur ring around it. Looks really good. And I didn't hook it up to all ring, so it's all good, so it's not going to show up on my back. But I just didn't think that for the purposes of showing off this mod, that was worth rerunning all good for one profile or one mod. But yeah, pretty cool set. I dig it. I might integrate it into my list going forward. Let's see, what else we got that we can show off here. Sky Child. Okay, so this is a new one. This is from the creators of The Kids Are All Right, I believe. So you basically have two choices that I know of anyway. The main two ones are the RS Children, which is what I use, and then Sky Child, or The Kids Are All Right, which is what a lot of other people use too. Both are very high quality. It's just whether or not you prefer one over the other. So in this save, I can actually show that off. A big thing about The Kids Are All Right and Sky Child is that they're all packed up in BSAs, so you're gonna get like gray faces and stuff like that if you have other things going on. It turns children into tweens, and it gives them sort of like the adult body, but just shrunken down. And that kind of looks weird to me. It looks really kind of creepy to me. So they all have like small children voices, but they all have like middle schooler, freshman and high school looks to them. And that just seems off to me. It kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. But there's no like denying the quality of this, especially in the like the hair. The hair, in my opinion, is a lot better than the hair in RS Children. But I think just because of like the weird body proportions here, it's I'm gonna stick with RS Children, I think. But you do get a lot of diversity in the way that the children look. And I think The Kids Are All Right had like other races of children too, like orcs and Argonians and things like that, where RS Children don't. They don't really add any new characters or races. They just use what's already there. Just gonna see if I can find Wraith. What's Wraith? Yeah, see, Wraith looks great with the bow in her hair and everything. And let's see if we can find Lars or somebody here too. Oh, there's Lars. He's got the Leviathan walk animation. He looks like he's gonna go pick a fight with Wraith. Finally sticking up for himself. So yeah, definitely high quality. This one's been on the hot mods for a little while now. A lot of people are excited to add this into their game, but yeah, the heebie-jeebie factor on this one kind of kills it for me. Let's see here. Big fan of Ubisoft, mainly because I love AC and Watch Dogs games. That said, I do think they have ruined the way they do things recently. I hope AC Shadows will be good though. I'm kind of in the same. I don't play enough Ubisoft games, but they do have a really good value proposition. You can play those games for hundreds of hours, and you're gonna get sick of them before you finish them. So if you're looking for a game to pour hundreds of hours in, they're usually pretty high quality too once they fix their open world bugs. But yeah, their pricing practices and things like that have been really gross for a long time. Be back around 45 minutes. No problem, James. Just heard today that drinking a tablespoon of vinegar helps reduce gallstones. Interesting. Mine's actually stuck. It's symptomatic. I need to have my gallbladder taken out. Oh yeah, we were talking about dad jokes. Yeah, so I went to get imaging done on a gallstone. I need to have my gallbladder taken out, so I got to go in for surgery for that or whatever. But the person there running the ultrasound on there was like looking at my kidneys and stuff, and I was biting my tongue. I was just biting my lips so hard, trying not to say, "Can you see the baby's face in there yet?" And it's such a stupid joke, right? It's like, how many other like dad-aged guys come in there and make jokes about seeing a baby in their ultrasound? Probably a lot. And whoever's the poor person is running this this ultrasound scan probably hears it all the time from guys my age, right? I think you get to a certain age as a man to where you just don't care what people think about you anymore, and then you live solely to amuse yourself with stupid jokes. And I think I'm at that age. Let's see. Good afternoon, the Coffee Badger. Welcome, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Getting some good coffee, I hope. I love RS Children. I have a mod that allows elven children too, not just beastly children. Nice. I mod Skyrim for hundreds of hours and years, but I'm still a beginner. I stay away from graphical mods as they're too complicated to install. Yeah, I mean, especially the NPC stuff. The NPC stuff gets really, really nuts. Even stuff like E and B can be pretty simple, even though it's easy to mess that up and have some really wonky looking stuff. Like texture overhauls and things like that, like these parallax stones and things like that that add some texture. Those are usually pretty easy too. But when you get conflicts and things that changes meshes and things like that, you start getting these purple models everywhere, and that's no fun. Or just completely missing meshes where it's like all of a sudden now you don't have this wall piece, and then you can just see to the other side of the world because there's nothing there. Gameplay stuff does have its conflicts and stuff too, but at least it's not as obvious most of the time. Okay, what else do I have to show off? Skychild Mage clothing. Okay. This one was kind of cool. Oops, wrong one. Does the mod installer you use automatically set up the correct load order for you, or do you have to do it manually? Or, well, it depends. So if you're using Wabbajack, it'll set the load order for you automatically. There's not anything you have to do. You might have to rerun the Wabbajack install a few times to get it to actually take, with like network errors or, you know, file being used errors and stuff like that. Nulvis also has an auto installer all on its own that, you know, sometimes gets caught by malware detectors and things like that, but it'll set everything up for you too. It'll install everything, put everything in the right order for you. If you're gonna do it on your own, then you can use something like Loot, which is hit or miss. I use Loot for a lot of stuff, but I do have to set up my several mods to load in certain orders through Loot. It's not a big deal. But if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what you're looking for, and you don't know what mod needs to win, then it's going to be hard. So yeah, load orders are definitely something that is going to be a challenge for you if you're not using a list. I need more of it. Currently doing a C# programming assignment. Ooh, I do that shit for a living. It does take a lot of coffee, I tell you. Actually, doing the assignment it keeps me awake. I enjoy doing this stuff. I don't so much enjoy listening to hours and hours of lectures on changes to the programming language and stuff, newer versions. That stuff I need the caffeine for. I'm only 19 and I already reached that age. Oh boy. Oh boy, you're gonna make some lucky lady very happy. Or guy. I'm 24 and I'm exactly like that. I think you're just done with everything. Pretty much. You gotta find your own amusement where and when you can. Okay, let me. The gloves can stay, the cloak needs to go, the boots can stay. Okay, so this gives you a bunch of new variations on mage robes. This one is called, let's see here. Mage Clothing Expansion. Now, a lot of these kind of have a more feminine vibe to them. I think they work better on female models, but they don't look bad on the guys. If you're doing like a Breton or maybe like a Redguard, this kind of has like an exotic flair to it. And then, of course, you got the shirtless ones where if you've been working on your abs a little bit, you know, grease those abs up and let them show, let them shine, right? There's a separate version, a separate installer that you use the shirtless male outfit for. Otherwise, you get the shirted version of it where it's covered up, which is the one that I'm modeling right now. I don't know which one I prefer better, the exoticism of the shirtless one, or I don't know. I just the texture on the shirt here, I don't know if it goes very well. But there are a lot of variations. These ones are not physics enabled, so you're not going to get like the flowing robes or whatever. But you do get one hood. It doesn't come with any gloves or boots, so you're going to have to bring your own for that stuff. The sleeveless look, I think it's kind of cool. It's not really a Nordy Skyrim type thing. Maybe like a Breton or Elf or something. They do kind of look a little bit feminine, but not like overly so. It doesn't look like you're like cross-dressing or anything, in my opinion. But if you have like a more like foreign mage that's coming from somewhere other than Skyrim, because of course Skyrim's going to have its own style, but other provinces will have styles that are probably less masculine, because, you know, even the ladies of Skyrim have masculine senses of style. But there are some very original pieces here too, that they're not just takes on the current stuff, but actually a completely new one. This looks more like clothing than it does a robe, but it still looks very magey, right? And then you get all these different variants here that are kind of like what you've seen before, but maybe just a little bit different. So yeah, I kind of like these, and I think I'll likely be using them for some like subclass, like mage subclass builds in the future at some point. I think they look kind of cool. And then they look really good on the female models as well, so I can show off some of those. Like, does the Nexus automatically put the mods you download in order for you, or you have to do the load order? Yeah, if you download something and install something like manually from the Nexus, you have to do the order yourself. All the Nexus does is give you like a repository for mods to go download and find. You have to handle once you download it, you got to manage that thing on your own. You can download it directly to your mod manager. It just kind of, it's a little bit more convenient. It'll save you a few clicks. Otherwise, you can click a button on your mod manager, go find the mod that you just downloaded and install it that way, which is what I do. Time to go broke, guys, because I just accidentally spent most of my money on Grand Theft Auto. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. You wouldn't be the first. Okay, so here is Galindal, Talan Girl. This is what he would look like as a woman, in case you were curious. I don't know how many people were actually curious about that, but yeah, this has more of like a dress look to it than the clothing from the males. I think they did a pretty good job of making this work for both males and females, and not being like too samey across both of them.
Men aren't good or bad.
This has more like a hedge mage look to it, maybe more of like a wilderness mage or druid or something. And then you got the shorts, of course, because it's a female model and you're gonna have to show some skin eventually, right? This stuff would also look good for like an agent character or something, I think. Like an unarmored like thief or an acrobat. I think some of this stuff could work for. And then you got variants of the same models here. Very little clipping, not a lot going on there. They fit with your body type pretty well. This one looks good. This one looks great, I think. Yeah, some good stuff here. All right, moving on to the next one here. Mod showcase. Okay, the Valenwood Ranger. Oh, I can do Windcaller. We'll do Valenwood next. So this is kind of a mashup. I wouldn't go as far as calling this skimpy or revealing. But it also doesn't cover up enough to be especially effective armor. For a dexterity type character though, this could fit really well. I just thought that this was really well done. It's it does show some skin, but it's very tasteful, I think, right? I don't think you're gonna get any flack, you know, if your wife or your girlfriend or your mom or something shows up and you're playing a female character dressed like this. They're not gonna bat an eye at it. Unlike some of those mods that I'm sure some of you are wearing. You know who you are. The booby and waifu mod people. No, this actually looks like an elven-ass video game character outfit. kind of a mainstream video game. I think it looks really good. It kind of makes me want to like roll like a female like wood elf character or something and just really lean into the dexterity aspect of it with some like dodge roll mods, double jump mods, jumping attack mods, and maybe something like shadow dance from Triumvirate. I think it would be really good. So let's load up Fortius Cervix here. Here we go. This one prefers MO2 to manager mods, and it too has basic loot built in. Yes, it does. And that's what I use as well, and that's what... the learning curve is a little bit higher for MO2, but it's not actually that much higher. It does things in different places than what you might expect if you're used to, like, Vortex or whatever. But it's highly, highly worth it to learn how to use it. Okay, so this is Fortius in female form. This one, it does show her wearing the wind collar cloak, which we'll go over as well. But yeah, it comes with some bows and arrows. The bow actually has a really decent draw speed on it. Now, my warrior character does have the draw speed perk, but this feels like something right around the draw speed of the Valenwood Warbow, or even something like Zephyr. Maybe not quite as quick as something like what is it, the Creation Club one, the Bow of Shadows or whatever. But it is really quick, which goes along with the Agile Ranger motif here. Yeah, like I said, I could see myself having a lot of fun playing a character like this, agility-based archer. Looks pretty good, I think. Get a better look. We have like these little daggers and stuff. They're not usable, right? They're just for show, but they do work well. They do look good. We got a dagger right here. Now, depending on like the pose that you have your female idols in, and the body types that you have, you might get like a funny bend in the shoulder strap here a little bit. But in the heat of action, in the heat of battle, you're not really going to see much of that. And as you're looking at the back of your character most of the time, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But yeah, I really like the way that this one looked, and I wouldn't mind doing like I said, a combat archer at some point with this set. Looks pretty cool. All right, and then the last one is the wind collar robes, and this one caught my eye a lot. So this one is like fully HDT physics enabled, so you're gonna get a lot of the flowing stuff going on. This one was what Calendil was wearing when I loaded up this save. I have seen a mud crab the other day. Disgusting creatures. Vortex mod manager actually has loot built in. Nice. Yeah, Vortex. There are content creators like Gopher who swear up and down about Vortex, and I think you can actually do most of what you do in MO2 in Vortex. I think MO2 makes it more, it's easier to, it has better profile management first and foremost. Switching profiles in Vortex is rough. So MO2 has my vote specifically for that, because I do use a lot of different profiles to keep my main profiles clean with my main saves in them. But then just being able to debug issues, MO2 makes it so much easier to just hide files that, you know, if there's a conflict between two files, just hide one of them, load up your game, see if that fixes it. The overwrite file, or the overwrite folder, is also heaven sent. It's a killer feature of MO2 that not enough people talk about. But that's one of those learning curve things where it's like, if you don't know how to use your overwrite file, you're going to be very confused by it. Yeah, there are a few things that that MO2, in my opinion, does on a technical level much better than Vortex. You have to do a high-speed Khajiit bow build where you just stack as much movement speed as possible. That's called the Acrobat. I do have a build guide for the Acrobat, and it was fun as hell. I might revisit these builds that I've already done because I do see some comments in chat from now and then that say, oh, you should play this type of character, and I'm like, oh, I did play that type of character, and it was awesome, and I have a build guide for it. Believe it or not, in vanilla, high elves have the highest attack speed. Well, because it scales with height, right? Movement speed and attack speed, I believe, but it's very, very minuscule. And jump height as well. Okay, so this is the, let's see, Wind Caller set. Let's pull that up so we can see what we're looking at here. So this one caught my eye almost immediately. That looks badass, right? It comes with a custom staff. The robes have physics, the cloak has physics. It looks like the hood actually has physics too. And this looks amazing. Yeah, you can see the cloak, everything's moving. And this looks awesome. Now I do not, oops, hold on. I lost my sheath button here. I do have the staff equipped. Oh, god damn it. I have a bug here where I can't unsheath my weapon. This look kind of reminds you of Medivh. Not quite sure who Medivh is. I'm gonna have to reload the game. My sheath unsheath isn't working. But yeah, fully HDT physics enabled flowing robes. The staff is actually really cool too. You do it gives you kind of a Fusro Da effect, but like consistent. So it just blows like a high gust of wind. But I'll show that up. I'll show that off. I have to restart the game though. But this does come with many variants. Not as crazy as the Mage clothing variants. But mostly just recolors, retextures of the same set. And they all look really good, but you can find one that kind of fits your color scheme. You have like maybe more of a cleric type look here. Then you have the void collar stuff, which is more of like a dark mage if you're into like a necromancer or like a shadow mage or something like that. All physics enabled, all very dark, very cool looking. And then you also have a variant for the hood with the hood down. And there is still physics on that. You can see the hood kind of like moving back and forth on there a little bit. So that's cool as well if you want to be able to see your character's head a little bit more. Or if you just want to hook this up to like a hotkey or something like that. When you go indoors, you can take your hood off. And then you can just throw it back on when you go outdoors or when it's raining or whatever. So very cool set. Let me go ahead and restart it. I can show off the staff a little bit too. I tend to take a brute force approach to modding. You probably tend to have a lot of modding errors too. If you're not doing like a ton of mods. Brute force works for smaller lists, I think, but when you get into, you know, hundreds and hundreds of mods, you kind of need to organize it a little bit more. Especially, yeah, with, you know, hundreds and hundreds of active plugins as well that you need to, you know, handle conflicts and stuff for. It's tough. Do have a lot of modding errors, yeah. I don't want to say it's an art because it's not really an art. Maybe like organizing things in readable ways is an art, but mostly it's a very technical skill, and it takes a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience to be able to resolve conflicts, get things in the right order, and all that. And I actually went through several modding list guides. I did the step one, I did the Tuco guide way back in the day. I did the full Nulvis guide, which I'm still running on this one. I would like to do Lexi's list. I think Magus uses Lexi's a lot for a lot of his playthroughs. and it looks really good. It's an IRIM based, which is also a big plus. And I would like to do like a Requiem based list too, but those are a dime a dozen on Wabbajack. You just install one without having to go through all of that. Sadly, I can't fix my GOG version of Skyrim with that. Oh, they don't have Xedit for the GOG version yet? That sucks. That does suck. I didn't know that was a limitation. It's almost impossible to change from Vortex to MO2. I tried it. Vortex is hard to get rid of once you install it. Really? Is it just hard to uninstall, or it's hard to learn something new because of the way it's like a Mac user going from Mac to PC? All right, let's have some fun here. It doesn't actually damage them, but it is a Fus Roda effect. This is kind of like a Gandalf Saruman type thing. It does look a lot like Gandalf's staff too.
There you are. Help! Somebody help! You into pieces.
So yeah, all the physics enabled on these robes, they look really good in action. Where are you going? You're not gonna take me alive, coppers. Yeah, I did it, and I'd do it again, too. Oh. Timed that really well. Oh, no! We got a naked kid running around from the Sky Children or whatever. Nobody look. No, he was wearing his diaper. We're good. No breach of terms of service on that one. Come here, Feindal. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Highly recommend this mod. I'm definitely going to be adding this one into my list. So, yeah. All right, so I think that about does it for the mod showcase. I think that was the last one I had. So what do you guys think? Any that you're going to be adding to your lists? I know some of you are console players, and probably some of these aren't an option for you, sadly. But yeah, those are the ones that caught my eye. Some stuff that I'll be adding to future profiles later on. Just have to be careful how I install mods, and loot fix most of the modding problems. Yeah, it does. Loot is a really good tool. It's a good starting point, but it's not going to handle everything, and you got to know how to fix things when loot messes them up. This one uses Lexi's mod list plus my own, currently running over 1,500 mods for hundreds of hours. Yeah, Tom's a pro. I think you're actually on Lexi's team, right? You test for her, I think. Never bothered uninstalling Vortex and just moved my mod list into MO2. Yeah, I don't know how any of that stuff worked. I used Nexus Mod Manager for a long time. When SE came out, we didn't really have an MO option to choose from without really hacking into it, so I just went with NMM, and I used that one for years until Mod Manager finally had an official port for SE, and I never looked back from then. It's hard to totally uninstall it. That's a good reason not to install it in the first place, I think. Anything that makes it a pain in the ass to uninstall, I think is probably not worth installing. It's kind of shady. All right, so let's move on to the... I got to get better at changing up my my titles here. Creator Showcase. Okay, and so the creator that I'm showcasing this week probably isn't going to surprise too many people because I shout him out all the time. But Magus80. A lot of you probably already are subscribed to Magus over on Twitch and everything like that, but he does have a YouTube channel with just vaults and vaults of different character types that he's played. So if you go to his channel here, I'm going to go ahead and post this on YouTube. Now, these are just raw uploads from Twitch streams, so don't expect any kind of like fancy editing or anything like that. But if you go to his playlist, he's actually got all these characters and all these character types split off into their own playlists. He's got a ton of them, man. He's been doing this for a long time, right? So right now he is playing Athralor, a sort of Nightblade vampire type dark elf. And if you look at, I think this guy is Athralor, I think. So this is a revisitation of one of his favorite characters that he's ever played. And the gameplay is looking good. He's got some LOTD and some other artifact overhauls that he's using. He's got Elton Brand, which is the sword named after the basketball player, right? And he's got like things hooked up to spell scribe, so when he does a power attack, it's just enemies are going everywhere. All kinds of effects are happening, and this is terrible footage to be showing off. Let's see if I can find something a little more action-packed and bright. So Magus has been playing this game for thousands and thousands of hours, maybe up over 10,000 hours at this point. And he is a wealth of knowledge. So either watching the VODs or showing up to one of his live streams, ask him questions. He's more than happy usually to answer them to the best of his ability. I would probably recommend against like derailing his streams with diagnostics sessions and things like that. Be respectful of his time. And even beside that, his character concepts are very much worth just watching on their own. I always learn something new about gameplay, about how he's using things like Sacrosanct or Apocalypse or Ordinator in ways that I haven't thought of using. He specializes in vampire gameplay, and he does like a lot of lich playthroughs and things like that. So if you're looking for dark magery, this is your guy, right? And the dark mages with dark stories and dark tendencies is Magus. Kind of making him sound like a little bit of a creep now, but he's actually a pretty good guy. A lot of people are interested in that type of character because they're fun to play. They're some of the funnest characters. These dark character types are definitely some of the funnest to play, and he does them really well. He's been playing them for a lot of years. So even if you are following him on Twitch and you've popped into some of his live streams, you can actually go to the link below in the description, and all of the character or all of the creator links that I go see on a regular basis and recommend are down there. So yeah, you can go do that. But it's not just the Dark Mage stuff, right? He does have one of my favorites actually was Isanma, the Sulfrid character. This character ended up being real cool. This was a female Nord Ranger, I believe, and I'm trying to find. This was an epic Alduin fight that he had with her. It looked great. This is more of like an arcane archer. This is, I think, like the ultimate video, right? This is like the last one. This was the sort of the cap of the story, the cap of the playthrough. You see that he's using Lion's Arrow with some kind of electric spell effect, Ice Storm Mage, but channeling that all through the bow. Now he's using Dragon Aspect. And in Lexi's mod list, it's not like the vanilla Skyrim. These dragons are no joke, especially Alduin. These dragons are hard to take down. So the gameplay here is actually much more impressive than what you'd think, just because of just how epically spongy these dragons are, especially Alduin in his mod list that he plays. So it's not that his character is weak because he's not one-shotting Alduin. It's that these dragons are so much more difficult with these lists. So it's impressive that he's staying alive long enough and doing the damage that he is. He's already got Alduin down to like what, 50% now, using every tool at his disposal. He just switched to axes here to go in for some melee damage. Looking like he's hitting a little bit of a wall with the damage here. Now he's doing some. But anyway, this was a very effective build, very cool build, and it was a very cool playthrough. A lot of what I do is just I'll present the build in its ultimate form and then talk to you about the mechanics and everything. Magus goes from a rags to riches story with just about every one of his characters. He's going to start at the ground floor, and you can share the journey all the way up to the top, which is really what Skyrim is all about, in my opinion, is that rags to riches journey from nobody to just godly tiers of power, to get that power fantasy going at the end. And yeah, it's just fun to hang out, see what he's doing with his character concepts, see what kind of mods he's running. He's always willing to answer questions about things, and just a complete vault of knowledge. Great resource, good guy. Go hang out with him. Okay, well, let's see. I went an hour and 40 minutes when I was really just going to spend an hour on like these news segments and stuff here. I was going to do a Whatcha Playin segment. We can do that real quick. Let's do that. All right, so sound off in the chat. What games are you playing right now? Obviously, I'm playing Skyrim. I'm playing Starfield. That's stuff I'm always doing. But we got a new drop from Capcom lately. We have a Marvel vs. Capcom collection. They released Marvel vs. Capcom from jail. There has been some really rough licensing conflicts going on. Disney didn't want to give up their Marvel licensing to just anybody. And now that people are getting tired of their Avengers stuff, now they're looking to license their IP out to more game companies. And they cut a deal with Capcom. Now we get to play X-Men Children of the Atom, X-Men versus Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, and Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on modern platforms. They're great ports. They're fantastic ports. Fantastic rollback netcode. They just recently fixed matchmaking, which has been a problem with every fighting game ever. I don't know why they haven't fixed it yet, but they have fixed matchmaking for this game specifically. And, you know, I've been playing a lot of Gambit. Any children from the 90s know how cool Gambit was. He was like the coolest dude ever. And everybody would pretend to be Gambit with charging up like playing cards and then throwing them at their brothers and sisters and things like that, and swinging the broomstick around like it's a bow staff. So I've been playing a lot of that. Very cool game. Glad they released it from licensing jail. And this also means that we're probably going to get a Marvel vs. Capcom 4 or something at some point very soon, I would think. That's usually how the marketing cycle goes with Capcom, especially the fighting games, is they'll release like remasters of older games, and then if that game is hitting like certain internal numbers as far as sales wise, which this was like one of the top 10 most wishlisted pre-ordered games on Steam for like months. So there's no doubt in my mind that they've hit their sales numbers on it like on day one. So we're getting a new Marvel vs. Capcom game. It's just a matter of time of when they're going to be done with that. I've also been playing an old arcade game called Mushihime-sama, which translates to Insect Princess. This is an old, like I said, arcade shoot-'em-up game. It's a bullet hell from Cave. I did actually 1cc this, which means 1 credit clear earlier in the week, and I did it kind of accidentally because I played the last level raw. I've been replaying everything up to the last level, and I finally earlier in the week got to the last level without having to do a continue. And then that very last level, I played it raw without ever having played it, and I beat it somehow. I'll be uploading a video of that. I know a lot of people here, this isn't really Skyrim adjacent, but this is what I've been playing. But if you're a product of the 90s, 80s, 90s like me, arcades, and you were playing video games, arcades were a much bigger deal back then than they are now. And these kind of arcade throwback games still get me going. So yeah, Mushihime-sama is one of the better ones if you're looking to get into the genre. Fantastic Steam port. You can probably get it on sale for like 10, 15 bucks. And on my PS5, I have been playing Astrobot. So this is a love letter to PlayStation fans. If you if you are, let's see, I'll just get some more B-roll here. If you are a PlayStation fan, if you have some like fond memories of playing these PlayStation games back in the day, which I do, there's a ton of fan service in this game, and it's all wrapped up in an action 3D platformer that is extremely well implemented. A lot of game reviewers here are calling this their game of the year already, and they don't think there's going to be another game that comes out that is going to dissuade them from that. I don't think it's there for me. I'm still giving the nod to Hellblade 2, but the quality of this game and the way that it plays, the way that it looks, and just all the fan service and love letters to PlayStation gamers, it does measure up to that game of the year kind of levels for, you know, quality gameplay and just feels. So yeah, this is going to be on a lot of people's game of the year list. If you have a PlayStation 5 and you've played PlayStation games in the past, I do recommend this game. But yeah, it's not going to be your dark, gritty, open world fantasy RPG, right? it's a action 3D platformer like Mario 64 or Crash Bandicoot, but it's really well executed. It plays really well. It's not going to frustrate you in any way, shape, or form. It's just going to make you smile the whole time. That's what I'm playing. Hey, there's Boone23. He loved arcade gaming. Yeah, he knows how big of a deal arcades were back in the day. All right, so I am 44 minutes over the time that I wanted to allot for this new news, what you playin' conversation segment, right? I need to work on trimming that down. But now, we're just gonna switch back over to, we're gonna just be playing some Mage now. Let's do the Let's Play. Do the Let's Play. Dun 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 dun. You tried asking for help on the Discord for MO. They probably have experience in helping users switch. Interesting. Yeah, I'm sure there's how-tos on how to get Vortex off your computer. My favorite arcade game was Burger Time. Ooh, that's a classic. I didn't play a whole lot of Burger Time. I did play a lot of the licensed beat-em-ups. I think Burger Time was more of an 80s arcade game, right? Most of my stuff is from the 90s. I did like Excite Bike and Tetris. Played a lot of arcades, but mostly the licensed beat-em-ups when I was a kid, like the Ninja Turtles and X-Men games. Simpsons beat-em-up game was really good. I played a lot of fighting games too, so Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, and then like Killer Instinct came out later. And then SNK had their stuff, like their Fatal Fury, World Heroes. I played all that stuff. It was really, really good. Good times. It was just a certain amount of excitement that you get from like leaving your house, going to a place that was like completely dedicated to playing games, and then you could just play games against random strangers, but like face to face or side to side. And you can make friends like that. There was like a sense of community around these fighting games. Like if you played Street Fighter enough and you went every weekend, you'd start seeing the same faces, and then you get to know them, and then all of a sudden now you're doing like tournaments, going to people's houses, playing these games and stuff. It's not the same now. We have far too easy access to multiplayer gaming where we can just drop in and drop out without really ever, realizing that there's a person on the other end that we're playing with, right? We play multiplayer games, but in a very single player fashion. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then, you get your butt kicked in Street Fighter and decide to go take a break or something. You can play some pinball and maybe go get a hot dog from the concession stand. It was good times. Let's see here. All right, let's pick a quest here. What are we doing? Lost to the Ages, Ethereum Shards. Oh yeah, we ended up last time by doing Avangenzel, or not Avangenzel. Was it Avangenzel? I don't think it was. Arcanthams, I think. Yeah, Arcanthams. Start off that quest line. Where are we going now? Search for Ethereum Shards. Not a whole lot of questing. I want some dungeon dives and stuff. We can see some gameplay for the mage. I guess we could do diplomatic immunity. I'll find something here. Yeah, not a lot going on. Let's yeah, let's just do diplomatic immunity. We'll move the main quest line. We're gonna do the stupid little party at the embassy, but then we'll be able to fight our way through a bunch of Thalmor, which everybody loves, right? Who doesn't love fighting their way through the Thalmor? But I think we need to go talk to Delphine first. Do I have to meet her in Solitude right now, or do I have to meet her in Dragon Tooth Crater? Forge Master's Fingers. We could go do that. Yeah, let's go do that. We'll do diplomatic immunity after if we have time. Okay, where do I need to go for this? This looks like Karthwasten. We'll have to go around the mountain one way or the other. All right, let's go do it. Playing, okay, what y'all playing here? AC Valhalla at the moment. That's another one on my backlog. Doing the Wrath of the Druids DLC. Ooh, I don't know if I have any of the DLCs. I think I saw Valhalla on sale. It was like super cheap on, it wasn't Steam. It was on the Ubisoft launcher. I think I got it for like 15 bucks or something like that. And then I found a hard copy on sale at Target for the PS5 for around the same price, I think, a little later. Put it on my shelf, you know? Tom Mole is playing Skyrim as an unarmed and unarmored Khajiit. Ooh, unarmed and unarmored. That is the monk, the way of the monk, right? So I've been thinking about that too, and I'm going to do all the classic classes at some point. So, and a monk is going to be one of them. And you might think that that might be hard with Ordinator because the unarmed stuff is all here in the light armor. But once you get to Iron Fist, you actually don't need to wear armor at all. It doesn't mention that you don't have to be wearing armor to get any of this stuff. So you can be wearing just monk robes or whatever, and you can really lean into the whole unarmored monk thing. Once you get Iron Fist, you earn light armor experience, so you don't have to be wearing it each time you punch. And then everything beyond here is it doesn't require you to be wearing light armor at all. So just level yourself up, your light armor up to where you can get this first Iron Fist at level 20. Strip all your light armor off, and you got yourself a classic monk here. And it is going to be very powerful in terms of offensive output. You are going to need to do some fancy footwork, I think, for the defensive part of it. You're not going to be able to take many hits. Maybe you can lean into the alteration, flesh spells and things like that, or just evasion through movement speed, or dodge rolls and things like that. But yeah, that's one that's been on my mind for a while. I'm really looking forward to playing the monk type because I think using those unarmed perks in the light armor skill tree without actually wearing light armor is a very kind of interesting and nuanced build that I'm really looking forward to. Gotta go already. The wife wants to watch a show. Just wanted to say hello. Have a great time. And community, see you next Saturday. Great. Sounds good, Boone. Have fun with the wife. 80s as a teen. Yeah, I think I'm about 10 years behind Boone. I'm more of a 90s kid in the arcade, but I did kind of, I played some of the arcade games in the 80s. Played a lot of Samurai Showdown in the arcade. That was a good one, man. When I should have been studying. Hell yeah. Samurai Showdown's a good one because it's more about like the spacing and the footsies and less about like just practicing combos and mix-ups and everything. It's all about just landing that one big hit. Hearth Waston we're going to. I stole so much money from my mother. Arcade games are $1 per game in Journey. Oh man, I spent a lot of lunch money on arcade games, that's for sure. When I should be eating something, I was playing video games with it. Wasn't born yet in the arcade times, but I have fond memories of going to the arcade at the mall. Yeah, man, arcades at the mall. Malls were like a fun experience. You don't really see that anymore. I feel like malls are ripe for a comeback, though. Not sure how many other people agree, but malls have been in such like a poor state lately. We have a bunch of malls here, but they're like mostly empty, and some of them are closing down and being demolished and things like that. A lot of them are still open, but they're just not what they used to be. I feel like once people, I think people are there already, where it's like everything, people's lives are just lived online and on screens these days, that we don't really get a whole lot of like in-person interactions with things.
I want you to sell swords out of my mind.
And it does cost a lot of money to create a mall and really fully stack it with attractions and things like that to get the foot traffic in there. And you pay a premium for the items of the things that you buy at the mall, but that money is going to like the experience of going to the mall, right? Usually get some like, you know, water features and stuff there, like a nice little fountain. You get like these weird little novelty shops here and there. You always got your bookstores and your pet stores and everything. Money has moved away from retail, and it has been moving away from retail for a long time, and it's moving to technology and AI. Right now, it's a lot of money moving into the AI sector. But I don't know. I feel like people are primed for those in-person experiences again, and it would be, if there probably would be a lot of money to be made for, you know, getting people out of the house. Especially like post-pandemic would have been like when the iron was hot and people are like really looking forward to getting out and doing something. I feel like people are going to be like really craving that experience. And then if you can go to a mall and it has like these cool fountains, like wishing wells and fountains and arcades and maybe like an ice skating rink and theaters and food courts and these novelty shops where it's like you can look for things that you can't really find at like a Target or a Walmart or these other big box stores. What the hell am I doing here? Okay, I think I'm going to be better served going around this way to the right of this mountain range than I am going to be doing to the left, because this is a huge range. It goes all the way up around here. So yeah, let's just head back to Hearth Waston. I think I'm fighting terrain right now. Since we're finally gaming, I can now mention that I've been playing around with my own Pure Thief build, and I've done some research on some very useful tech, such as tripwire plus alchemical oil. Good stuff.
What can I help you with?
A Pure
Is there
Thief...
anything else you need?
It's kind of like, how do you define your Pure Thief, right? Because the Thief is unique in that the Standing Stone help that you get through the skills that increase your progression through the Standing Stone. You can do that with a Pure Mage, you can do that with a Pure Warrior, but for the Thief, it swaps out alchemy for archery, right? The archery is a warrior stone thing. Alchemy is
Therefore is ready for anything.
a thief thing. But the thief, at least as far as how BGS has defined it in the past, does not have alchemy, but does have archery. So I think that depends. The alchemical oils and stuff are awesome. You can completely build around that and have like an alchemy centered build, and it's a lot of fun. It's a ton of fun playing that with those mechanics. I did it in a vampire build, and he was using the blood drain spell to trigger all of his alchemical stuff. That was Alcunil, my first kind of machinima effort, where I was telling a dark story about this vampire alchemical Expert. One of my favorites. I have a soft spot for that series. Anyway, you can find the playlist for it if you want, but it's more about like the story and the character than it is about the gameplay mechanics. But the sort of end of life of that build was, yeah, using the, I don't know, it was like, what's it called? Like the catastrophe or something? Let's see, what was that called? Alchemy. Where you're spilling these oils out all over the place. Walking disaster. And then using the Vampire's Drain life spell to trigger these and just explosions all over the place all the time. It was really cool. My current playthrough of Skyrim is a Viking Berserker. He wears ragged trousers, Einherjar boots, and bracers, and he dual wields war axes. That sounds badass. I want to do a dual wield build at some point. Probably with my Barbarian, I think I'll do dual wield. My biggest issue with unarmed in Skyrim is that it isn't fast enough. I wish there were some mod that made unarmed strikes faster. So there's one called, I think it's Advanced Unarmed Warfare or something like that. And what it does is it gives you access to block and block bash in your unarmed stance. So completely unarmed, and you unsheath your hands, you're gonna have like your two fists there. But when you hold the left trigger, you're gonna block with your left hand, and then when you hold the left trigger and hit the attack button, you're gonna do the block bash animation. So that block bash is super fast, and that's like a jab, which is really cool. I had a lot of fun with that. Doing just like a quick jab, it causes a stagger most of the time, and then you can get in there and just wail on the guy. It was completely overpowered. It wasn't balanced at all, but it did give you like a really quick attack. Your block bash is going to be your fastest attack, and it causes a stagger, so don't ignore the block bash. But that does take a mod, and you probably want some kind of like unarmed hotkey or something to go along with it, and it does need patches to work with Ordinator because it doesn't actually technically count as unarmed because it does have you holding a shield. It's just an invisible shield. Unarmed strikes are slower than daggers even without dual wielding. Yeah, that's why I was saying it does take some fancy footwork to get that to work correctly. This is Harmigstall, I think. Yeah, with the flaming spiders.
There's a cave.
Oh,
Animals
I've been
are
forgetting here. Let's I did buy some new spells last night. 100 Daedric Thrall. Let's use some of these. Why is this not showing up in my favorites? I just put it there. Why is that not showing up? Did I not favorite it? Oh, it's not Conjure Daedra Thrall, it's just Daedra Thrall. Okay. Put this in group 1. It's a dual wield build. Save that. Or not a dual wield spell. So now I don't have to worry about Edge of Oblivion. I just get 2 of these guys up. They're going to stay up all the time. These ones come with Odin, so they're going to look a little different. They're going to be a little stronger. Let me see what these guys... Summon Civilized Storm Fury permanently. Destroys itself with a powerful shock nova in combat. Okay, so if I'm going to have to keep respawning these guys, it might not be worth it. What other thralls do I have? Dead Thrall, maybe, if we can get the right body. We're not really a necromancer, but could still use that. Flame Thrall, Frost Thralls work really well. Those are the tankiest of the elemental Atronachs. And Storm Thralls are going to be running all over the place anyway. So it sounds like Frost Thrall and Dead Thrall are going to be the main thralls that I want to use. But we'll see. I want to see how these Storm Furies work in action. All right, am I going the right way here? Indeed I am. Let's look to the left. Dragontooth Crater, I think I've just realized that that is not a dungeon at all. That is just a dragon wall with a dragon. Who's this guy? Is that an Imperial Courier? Yeah. We'll leave him be. Here in West Virginia, in Harrison County at least, our mall is pretty active. Probably because people are most social around here, though. That's Appalachia for you. Say what you want, but Appalachia is a community. Nice. I'm trying to think if I've ever actually been to Appalachia. My wife was born and raised in northeastern Pennsylvania. Which is kind of around that mountain range, but not quite. I think Appalachia is a little more south. I have visited Washington, D.C. I have flown through Charlotte, or at least made connecting flights in Charlotte, but I haven't actually spent any time there. Yes, too much screen time. A lot of people get in contact at 21, and they will have a hard time finding pilots. Since you need 20/20 visits and screen. Yeah, I don't. Is that an actual like scientific observation though? Because my optometrist, I look at computer screens all day for a living. I have to because of my job, and my doctor said that you could look at a screen for 10 hours a day and it really won't affect your vision much, or at least make it worse than it was at the time. So I don't know if there's really anything to that. There might be studies saying that there are. There might be studies saying that there isn't a correlation, but I don't know. I'm not sure it's one of those things that we know for sure. My boss, actually, he works in an engineering capacity as well, and he's on screen just as much as I am. He plays video games in his spare time too, and he has perfect 20/20 vision. And he actually has a lot of flight time. If he wasn't making a living being a software engineer, he would be a pilot, actually. He trained a lot for that. So it can happen. Just because you're on a screen doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be blind. Let's see. I grew up near one of the biggest malls in the country. Mall of America? Or are you still talking about... And one of the biggest YMCAs. Nice.
Come on, come on!
Oh my god. Alright. Yeah, so these are just kamikaze guys.
That's the end of that.
That is the end of that. So distorted shape really helped me. So yeah, that guy destroyed himself pretty quickly. And this guy didn't do anything because he couldn't get up close to the... Yeah, these are kamikaze attacks, and I don't want that. I want somebody who's going to be in it for the long run. I need a committed relationship here. So let's go with Storm Thralls, or Frost Thralls. We'll do Frost Thralls. Cool spell. It's just, it's not fitting with this... with the mold of Mage that I need, because I'm running Edge of Oblivion instead of March of Oblivion. I need minions all the time to keep myself from getting too squishy. Okay, so let's see. Frost Thrall, here we go. We are going to group that into group 1. And then I am going to equip that, save the equip state. Now, for a dragon fight, we're probably going to want a Storm Thrall. So let's go ahead and get that hooked up as well. Because Storm Thralls do ranged damage and storm damage, electricity damage at that. So the dragon is not going to be resistant to it, regardless of what kind of dragon it is. I feel like I might be going the wrong way here. In the meantime, let's get some frost thralls going here. Oh, these are storm thralls, I bet. Whatever. Need something. Nope, frost thralls. Okay. Poconos are where the wife is from. Second biggest mall is in Pennsylvania in King of Prussia. Interesting. Yeah, Mall of America is the big one. Alchemy-centered build would be like The Witcher, add two-handed... Oh, hold on. We got a bear. Hear that? It's a bear.
Where did you come from?
Kill it, my minions. I feel like there should just be a simple attack speed mod that fixes unarmed attack speed. There might be. I think that there are issues with attack speeds, though. Maybe not. I know things like better vampires, and then there's also the elemental fury shout that increases attack speeds too. But things like draw speeds, or like sheath and unsheath speeds, I was trying to look into, but apparently there are technical issues with that. But that's just because it interrupts one animation for another, and then it gets into this like weird loop. But if you're just making attack speeds faster, yeah, it might be all right. There might be something like that over on Nexus. I'm not aware of any off the top of my head, but it could happen. Ooh, cache at the Periite Shrine. Okay, well at least I have this unlocked now. I think I need a Spellbreaker for anything in particular. How the hell am I getting to Dragon Tooth over here? IRL people can punch really fast. Yes, indeed they can. I'm also doing a Reachman Warrior. I went full on Celtic or Celtic with him. Downloaded a mod that gives the Forsworn Celtic armor and weapons. Also downloaded the Sons of Skyrim mod for the Viking Celtic look. Very cool. Did you dual cast that spell? I don't have dual casting. The spell, master level spells, the ritual level spells, there aren't technically dual casting, but they do take both hands, right? Dual casting is a very specific mechanic where you have the same spell equipped to two different hands. Ritual level master spells, you do use both hands on it, but it is just the same spell. So that ends up being different in terms of mechanics. So like the perks for dual casting, illusion dual casting, these don't like apply to ritual spells. All the thrall spells are ritual master level spells. They require that big two-handed cast animation. Let's see here. What's up, Karn? Was helping with my wife to do some things, do some tiling things this afternoon. What a mess. Yeah. Flooring. We just paid somebody to do the flooring for us. My back hurts enough already without having to be crouched over. I did actually tear all the Saltillo tile off the floor myself before we had somebody come put our tile down. I didn't have it in me after all that to put the tile back down. Tiling is that takes some skill, I think. Skill that I don't have, and a lot of time that I don't have either. Kamikaze Daedra, sure. Dagon would be into that. Sure he would. Yep, totally. Fudge Muppet just released his updated best Dead Thrall video. It's in my watch later. I haven't watched it yet. Could refer to that to find. Yeah, there have been a few renditions of that video. I don't know if Fudge Muppet has done all of them, but I think they might have done one in the past too. Things like the vampire. Geez, there was a vampire one. Like the bandit chieftain ones are also really good to use. What's his name? Orchendor keeps his teleportation stuff going. That's another good one to use. Too bad Frost Equinox don't shoot ice beams or ice spikes. Ice beam, like Iceman from Marvel vs. Capcom. Ice beam, ice beam. Yeah, Fudge Muppet is 2 dudes. Used to be 3, correct, yep. But people just refer to them both as Fudge Muppet. They are collectively Fudge Muppet. You can refer to him as one guy, I don't think they'd mind. Hey, there's the wind. We got the Panic Muck and the wind showing up all at the same time. Glad to see you both. This was the backsplash in the kitchen. Okay, so that's not as much. At least you're not down on the ground and it's kind of a more limited area. Yeah, I think that's the last time we do that, I bet. That's rough, man. Hey, thanks for the shout-outs, Aster. Okay, so let's see. Should we do a slow fall? The word wall that we want... Yeah, I can see the dragon down there too. Kind of hard to see, but you can see his wings at the bottom of the screen. He's like sleeping or something, and his wings are going in and out of the terrain down there. Because Skyrim be Skyrim. Let's see. I'm going to do a slow fall, and I'm going to head down this way. So I can approach him with this broken tower. I don't think I need to do slow fall, because this looks like a safe way down. Okay. I don't know how I missed this on the way up, but here we go. We're on the right track now. Okay, let's get some Storm Thralls going. We're going to need it for the pew-pews. The tanky Frost Thralls are not going to do it for us this time. Okay, so let's do this. We'll do this. We'll do this. Ooh, almost half of our magicka, and we do have quite the magical pool here too. Does recover pretty quickly though, so that's something. Love this slow fall spell. Yes, indeed, we do. Okay, we need to do a quick save here too. Let's see. Simulacrum is not going to help me, but let's just do... I think I got Thunderbolt in one hand. We'll just do Thunderbolt in the other hand too. Oh no, we need Greater Ward. Here we go. Okay, everybody ready? Quick save. Dragon fight. Round 1. Fight. Oh. I think we also need a Fortified Destruction Potion here too. Boom.
Someone there?
Oh, and Silver Necklace to give us even more elemental resistance. This is going to make it very hard for this dragon to even hurt us. We probably don't even need the ward at this point. It's a tough one though. I did hit him with that Thunderbolt. I want to take an elemental attack to see just how much this hurts or doesn't hurt. I was going after Belran though, so. Oh, he's going down easy. He didn't even hit me once.
We make quite a team, eh?
And Belran's a Nord, so he was able to tank some of that Frost Breath. You're still shocked at what I can do with these Dragon Souls? Easily impressed this Belran is. Like button, smash! And Tom has smashed.
No. Comes out that you truly are Dragonborn.
Yeah, Doi. We knew this already. The dead Hagraven. Okay. Not a very good snack for a dragon, I guess. I guess Hagravens are kind of bony and stringy. All the feathers and everything too. Not very tasty. The dragon just kind of left her there. Okay, all of this stuff I can use for enchanting. Staff of Hearn. Summons a Hearn for 341 seconds. It is accompanied by 3 spirit wolves under its command. Interesting. And here's the Forge Master's Fingers. That's what we were going for. How am I doing on encumbrance? Still good. Got the backpack. We're good with the backpack. Is this one of those places where the Black Sacrament armor was? No. Smashing Tom Mull. Alteration Master Quest? Alteration Master Quest. We've already done it. Yeah, that was the one with Kazovane's Fang. Kavozane's Fang. With the heart scales and everything. Yeah, we have Dragonhide. We're able to do Dragonhide. An Obi-Wan Kenobi build would be sick. Make it cooler if you can travel around with Dwemer machines so you can tell guards these are not the droids you're looking for. There you go. That works. Like the cut of your jib. No, I talked about how I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 earlier with Gambit specifically and how cool Gambit was in that 90s cartoon. I guess that cartoon was all the way back in the 80s too. And I kind of want to do a Gambit build in Skyrim. With the quarterstaffs, you got the animated armory quarterstaff animations. You can do things like Frost Bloom or Fire Bloom. Kernel of fire that explodes after 4 seconds, doing 4, well, let's see. Yeah, so I don't remember if it was Fire Bloom, I think it was. But it has like a delayed reaction to it, so you hit the enemy with it, and then after a few seconds it explodes for like big damage, right? I think that's what this is. In fact, let's go ahead and try it. Belrand, come here. I got something I want to try. Oh no, it stays right in front of you. It's like a landmine. There's one, I think it's an Apocalypse. I don't remember what it was called. But yeah, you hit the character with it, and then after a few seconds, it explodes for big damage. That could be like his kinetic card thing, where he charges up the playing card with kinetic energy, and then hits an enemy with it and explodes. And then we got the bow staff, and then we could do things with like Okado's Recital. We have like, let's see, Fire Hand that we can use to cause fire damage with our melee attacks. Hook that up to Okado's Recital. And then we could just do the thief thing, because Gambit was a thief for a long time. I'm thinking like Apotheos armor with like the hero circlet and big spiky red hair. Good stuff. Nice character outfit, by the way. Yeah, this comes from the Divine Elegance mod. So it adds a store to the Karth River here, right on the side. And it has a ton of like really nice high quality outfits, armor, light armor, heavy armor, and clothing that you can wear. So this is one of the mage robes that it comes with. Looks really cool. Even though we're foggy and not really getting a lot of light here. There are a few different variations of this one too. You can get like a black one. I think like a red one, a white one for like a cleric, with a whole lot of other stuff to go along with it. My favorite X-Men character is Nightcrawler, to be honest. Nightcrawler's cool as hell. He was in that beat 'em up, that arcade beat 'em up game, where Magneto says, "Welcome to die, X-Men." I think it was a Konami thing. Yeah, all those beat 'em up arcade games were all Japanese made and the Japan English on there. Some pretty good stuff. Okay, now we need to make it all the way back to Dushnik Yal. Let's see, is there... Not a whole lot. I guess I could head back to Karth Waston, but I think I'm just gonna hike it. We'll hike it back. We need to go south and west here. You could actually do a Nightcrawler build too. He did used to use swords way back in the day. He was like an expert fencer, but you could do hand to hand. You could do like the Shadow Dance spell from Triumvirate, the Shadow Mage stuff. You could do Shadow Steps as well. Come and get it.
Hold my power.
Let's see. I don't need the ward anymore unless we're gonna fight a dragon. Let's switch back to Greater Simulacrum. And then we have Thunderbolt in the other hand. Very good. Very good, very good. There is a blade staff mod that lets you fight with staves and has animations making staves shoot as you fight with them. Is that one of those moveset mods, one of those Dark Souls type combat overhauls? So I'm not really into those. Animated Armory does have a quarterstaff animation. It's very quick attacks. A little less damage to keep the DPS at reasonable levels, but I think that would work for me. Bethardems, this is where Spellbreaker is, I think. I need to head further south, I think. Magneto's cool. Fun fact, let's see, it was like the X-Men First Class movie. If you saw it, you probably thought it was like okay. The first half of that movie, where it went through like Magneto's origin story, I thought was really, really good. And that was because that was supposed to be the whole movie was Magneto's origin story. And then the producers, if I'm remembering this correctly, the producers decided they wanted like more of a traditional X-Men thing in there because they were worried about return on investment or whatever, and they didn't think a Magneto-focused movie was going to do all that well. So they added just a bunch of bullshit to it. But the first half of that movie that was centered on Magneto, I thought was really, really good, and I would have loved to see the rest of that movie. But, you know, the money people get their hands on the creative stuff, and now all of a sudden it sucks. We know that story. So they just tacked a bunch of stuff onto the second half of the movie to get, you know, more young X-Men in there and to get some of the familiar faces in there. But I thought the Magneto stuff in that movie was really, really well done. I would have loved to see a whole movie about that. Reminds me of the armor sets that are created by Fourth Unknown. This outfit here? Yeah, kinda. A little bit... So not quite, like, realistic and gritty, but also, like, not quite overblown World of Warcraft style stuff. It's, like, too much. Fourth Unknown makes some good stuff. I think I have some of them, some of those mods in my load order too. I have no idea if I'm going the right way. One can only hope. A Solomon Kane Witch Hunter build would be great. You need the pistol and rapier mods. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty awesome, actually. Rapier and pistol. Bloodborne style. I'm reading the description for Distorted Shape. It says it activates if you have a flesh spell in combat. So if you lab, skeever, fortify, alteration potion, home mythal, dehide.
Beautiful but dangerous place, eh?
It's a Dragon Age staff animation, the blade staff mod. Okay, I'll have to look into it.
Don't get you first.
Hey, Mr. B. Haster, thank you for the shout out. Hope you're doing well, Mr. B. Glad to see you. Let's see, we need to go south. Oh, another bear. Hi, Mr. Bear. Meet Mr. Wolf. Felt like we barely got to know Mr. Bear. Okay, I feel like I've encountered this pond like 3 times already. Maybe it's not the same pond. Let's take the juniper berries as like a breadcrumb. I definitely would have grabbed the Nern root, so I'm sure I haven't been here yet. know why I just got spooked all of a sudden. Check my phone here real quick. I think Windcaller, Dwarven, Silver, Outcast, and Northern Armor sets is what I have from Fourth Unknown. Let's see. Those are all familiar to me, but I'm not sure I actually have any of them. The Dwarven one, after trying to play with the vanilla Dwarven stuff, even the retextured stuff, I think I'm going to go for the replacer that he has for the Dwarven armor. Looks pretty great. Ooh, what's this over here? Oh, is this where Otar? Otar the Mad? I think it is. Let's do this. Ragnbald.
Look out! Draugr!
Oh, he's going after the goat. Draugr White.
That's the end of that.
That is the end of that. Let's see. Does this Draugr have anything? No. Yeah, Fourth Unknown has some really high quality stuff. Very cool stuff. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I believe this is Otar, right? A lot of undead. If we're doing undead, let's switch to fire, shall we? And also, I probably don't need the extra elemental. Go back to Galder Amulet, get some better progression. Let's see here. Greater Simulacrum still works, but I want... Try Incinerate? Flame Darts is really good. I like Flame Darts a lot. We'll do that.
Ancestors might be better.
Flames are more effective against undead. Shock really covers all your bases, right? But with this character, I like to be kind of more of, not quite a jack of all trades, but kind of like an expert of all trades. I like to be able to switch spells on the fly to do what best suits the situation. So Draugr are typically weak to fire, so we'll just switch to fire instead of sticking with the shock spells. Glass long mace, that's a nice piece right there, but really, really heavy, so we'll let it go. Catch up here. Do. Yep, I'm caught up. I am caught up. Oh wait, a reef just sent something. YouTube should really extend the character limit. Anyway, since there's a perk that buffs alteration spell duration if cast near your home mythal, you can possibly just skip Okado plus Ebony Flesh and just use Dragonhide with hours of duration. Okay, does Dragonhide count as a flesh spell though? For because Dragonhide has some unique stuff going on with it, right? Alteration. I think this. Oh, an armor spell. So it probably counts as an armor spell, but not a flesh spell. You become intangible and unable to affect spells or attacks for 10 seconds or until you perform an offensive or defensive action. Skip Okado plus Ebony Flesh and just use Dragon Hide with hours of duration. Yeah, so the Distorted Shape does not last as long as the armor spell, though. It doesn't. It lasts for 10 seconds or until you use an offensive attack. In my experience, it does scale from 10 seconds, so it doesn't it's not always 10 seconds, but if you have like a high alteration level, it will last a little longer, but it's not going to last anywhere nearly as long as your flesh spell will. So you would have to cast Dragon Hide before every combat run, because once you enter combat, you have to do that ritual spell, super long animation. That's going to be too late. You're just going to get murdered while you're trying to cast it. The Okado's Recital with Ebony Flesh plus distorted animation, it casts it automatically, so I get at least 10 seconds of invulnerability. That allows my my minions to take aggro from my enemies, and that's why I'm doing that. If I had to do Dragon's Hide spell, you can make it work, and you'll get more physical damage reduction. It doesn't really give you armor rating like the Ebony Flesh spells does. It just gives you a straight damage reduction to physical attacks at 80%, which is basically the cap of your armor cap, right? So it's more effective, but it's harder to cast. You have to know you're getting into combat, and you have to cast right before you enter, or otherwise you're not going to get that full 10 seconds. So next time I get into combat, we'll be able to look at the widget and see how that's working. Look at the widget is what the kids are calling it these days. Okay, so you see I have like the wavy thing. That is distorted shape. Oh no, the wavy thing might be something else. Anyway, once these wear off, see, I'm still in distorted shape right now, still invulnerable. Haven't done an offensive. This is way more than 10 seconds, right? But we're gonna let this wear off, and then I'll show you that Ebony Flesh is still active.
That's it. That's all you've got.
Okay, distorted shape is done now, and I just took damage from Fusro Da. But I go into active effects, and I still have Ebony Flesh active, giving me 100 points of armor. So it doesn't last as long as your flesh spell does. It's really... it's really quite limited compared to that. So yeah, I would have to cast Dragon Hide every time, which would become cumbersome. And I think Ebony Flesh works fine. It's only going to give me 100 points of armor, so it's not really going to make a huge difference in the amount of damage that I'm taking. But it might be enough to save me from being one shot immediately. But more so, it gives me that distorted shape, and if I'm making full use of that distorted shape, then I'm not ever going to take a hit, because my minions are going to take over for me. It's a flat 80% reduction, basically forever. Recast just after every Vancian refresh. Should last you like half an hour if I'm reading Home Mythal correctly. Oh yeah, so you'll get the benefit of the damage reduction for that long, for sure. The spell will stay that way. Distorted shape will not, though. Distorted shape goes away. And as long as I have distorted shape, I don't really need the armor. It is worth looking into, though. Yeah, if you get this Dragon Hide for just a super long time. Home Mythal, though. I think the Home Mythal range is a lot bigger than people think, but it doesn't cover the whole map, right? Where would you suggest putting that Home Mythal then? Because I did look into it at one point, but I couldn't remember. Oh, it doesn't matter though, because what you're saying is you cast it at home or near home, and then you can go on a journey and it'll stay active for you forever. Okay. Some food for thought, something to think about. That could work. And then instead of distorted shape, because if I leave Ebony Flesh hooked up to Okado's Recital and I already have Dragonhide active, Ebony Flesh is going to supersede Dragonhide as the last armor spell cast. But I do get the benefit of distorted shape, which has been completely invaluable for me.
Is someone there?
I will say that the distorted shape mechanic is probably more interesting, just on like a novelty level. It will make for better content in the build guide.
Only a fool lets himself get surrounded.
But also as a pure mage, I think it is worth mentioning maybe in the build guide that yeah, you can get a capped out 80% damage reduction for a very long time if you cast this at your home Mythal. That also takes perk investments, right? All my perks are spoken for currently, so I'd have to reshuffle things in order to get the home Mythal stuff going. So this would cost 1 extra perk, so that's not too bad. I would have to take a perk away from something else. Or if you just want to go beyond level 50, this would be a good way to spend it. Alteration spells gain 2 times duration if cast within 5,000 feet and 20 times duration if cast within 250 feet. Additionally, Vancian Mage can be recharged by sleeping within 250 feet. Yeah, we're not Vancian, so we're not getting the benefit of that, but the alteration spell part is really good. Interesting, interesting. Good idea. I will take it under advisement. Distorted shape will reactivate every time you get back into it, so it's not just a one-time thing. I combine home Mythal with milestones and just keep 1 stone as I use a sort of mark and recall. Yeah, that's how I've used it in the past too. Reactivate every time you get back into combat. Interesting. Yeah, that's how it does read, right? But for whatever reason, I haven't been able to get it to work like that. I don't know. Is it maybe just me not understanding something I'm doing in gameplay? When you gain armor spell in combat or enter combat with an active armor spell, which should cover your situation about reactivating it, you become intangible and unable to be affected by spells or... Okay, I see what you're putting down here. I see what you're putting down. Interesting. I have to do some playtesting on that and see if I can get it to work. Because I was thinking the same thing too, and before I hooked up Ebony Flesh to Okado's Recital, I was casting Ebony Flesh and just letting it stay active for a long time. And for whatever reason, sometimes I would enter combat and the distorted shape would not activate for me. I don't know if it was just a glitch at the moment or if maybe something else was going on with some kind of other auto cast or I don't know. Very interesting idea though. Have you playtested it, Arif? Do you know that it works that way? Not the biggest fan of Vancian, don't know why. Well, I mean, if you're like role-playing where you're sleeping and eating every night anyway, which I tend to do, at least when I'm playing not on stream, then you're kind of doing all that anyway, and you just get a bunch of free power because it does make you a lot stronger. Speaking of stronger, damn. That iron ingot for my hearthfire houses. Flawless sapphire for enchanting, don't mind if I do. P. Miller, how's it going, Karn? How's everybody else doing? I'm doing well, P. Miller. I am doing well. Getting a little hungry. It's about time for a little bit of a caffeine update too here. Hope you're doing well as well, buddy. Still theory crafting it. I do have a character that could test this right now. Okay, cool. If you get around to it, let me know. Otherwise, I just don't know if I'm gonna have time. I got 2 characters going on. I'm trying to get other content out and things like that. I will jot it down in my notebook though, and try to make a note of it so that I can test it out later. But if you get to it before I do, please do let me know.
Found you.
The hell? Nope. Who was Belran fighting out there? I didn't see anybody else. Interesting. Doing good, still writing my poems and job searching. All right, well, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Hope you find something soon. Have you thought about organizing your poems into a book or anything? There are publication services out there that aren't too expensive. I'm not much of a writer anymore. I was gonna be a writer before I found out that I had an aptitude for programming. I was like, oh, I could do this for a living? Let's do that. But before that, yeah, I had aspirations of being a writer. But these days, it's very easy to become self-published. Just gotta know which tools, where to go. Oh my god, a magical wrecking ball. I love it. I roleplay sleeping and eating. I just don't like dealing with it, especially if I'm utilizing heavy use of spells. Goes quick like money. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it for my Shadow Mage build, the ninja guy, because he was more of a hybrid guy, right?
But as a Nord,
Is that Belren's simulacrum? That's awesome. I must have hit him with a splash on that. That's cool as hell. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. The one thing that's better than Belrand is 2 Belrands. Let's see. What was I talking about? I was talking about something. Oh yeah, the fancy and magic stuff. Yeah, so it works better against or with hybrid builds like spell swords and things like that, because once you run out of spells, you have the option of getting a buff, and I think that's Dungeon Master. Whenever you recharge your Vancian spells, you may choose... Oh no, this is a different one. Arcane Thesis. Quadratic Wizard. Vancian Magic. Okay. No, it's just the regular Vancian Magic one. So, when you run out of spells, you're unable to cast... Oh no, hold on. It was something else. So when you run out of spells, it'll give you the option... Maybe it is quadratic. No. Dungeon Master, whenever you recharge Vancian. And or choose one of 3 meta magic enhancements. Your choice remains in effect until your next rest. So with a hybrid character, if you run out of spells, you can choose to have more attack damage or something like that. So it worked really well for that guy because I was able to go in. I did focused Vancian, so let's see, that was with Dungeon Master as well. You can choose more or less spells in exchange for increased or decreased spell effectiveness, and I would always choose less spells because I wanted to really lean into the hybrid aspect of it. Once I was done with my spells, then I knew that my blade was going to be stronger and that I could focus on that. And so it gives you like built-in gameplay diversity that way, where your character is designed to use up all their spells and then be buffed for it when they don't have any left. And that was a really fun and engaging way to play that out, I thought. But I am with you with like a pure mage like this. That's why I didn't go with Vancian, because it does kind of lock you in and limit you. Whereas if you were going to be a pure mage and limit your spells, then what happens if you're in the middle of a dungeon and you run out of spells? Oops, sorry, Valran. then you're just kind of SOL, right? You're not going to be able to cast any minions. If you have like a meat shield with you, like a follower, then they're going to have to do all the work because you got nothing else. So that's why I avoided Vancian for this one, even though, you know, it does give you a lot of power. But with a hybrid build, you get the best of both worlds, right? You get the additional power from Vancian, you get the additional power if you want to take the limited spells, and then you get the additional power when you run out of spells. So I like having the option. It's not for every character, for sure, but for the characters it works well for, it works really well for. Mystery of Talara. We're not taking that yet. How is our skill levels going here? Alteration's capped out. Restoration's still pretty low. We're only, ooh, nice. Level 69 for restoration. Destruction, we're getting up there, almost to level 90. Be able to start taking skill books for destruction pretty soon. Conjuration, 86. Illusion's still pretty low. So yeah, I'm trying to avoid taking skill books. Sometimes I just kind of do it automatically and then I'm like, dope. But once I get to level 90, I'll take that black book and then rechange everything back to Scholar's Insight, so I get 2 levels for each one instead, and then there should be 5 skill books, so you get an extra 10 levels that you can't train for. Belrand, what the hell are you doing down there? Did I get like a snafu with Simulacrum and now I have 2 Belrands? Would be kind of awesome, not gonna lie. All right, so here is skull key number 1. Storm Atronox, get in there, do your thing. Storm Atronox, attack!
Come on.
Storm attack Tronox. Okay. Ouch, okay, I just got shot by an arrow. Let's see if I can get that, yeah, there we go. Doesn't hurt too bad. I think we're alright. And did the Storm Atronox take care of this guy? Like they may have, or if he didn't just come down to fight them. Okay, so Skull Key 1 in the books. Make sure we're not missing any forgotten magic redone spells or anything down here. Ebony Halberd, that's a cool looking piece. Fortius would like that one, but it's too heavy. I'm gonna lug that around with me. I can be more weight efficient with the stuff I'm picking up. That's why I'm working towards, because I have over 80 poems so far done. Awesome.
Who knows what secrets we'd uncover?
Back, surprised you're still on at this time. Yeah, I usually have a 3-hour window, and I am on 2 hours and 50 minutes of that 3-hour window. So we're still good. Still good. All right, let's move it along here. We got another skull key to find. It's been a long time since I've done this dungeon. I kind of feel like I'm lost in a maze here. No, that's just an alternate route to the same thing, just with more traps. Why would you ever want to go down that one? I don't know. Okay. Back from local carnival, by the way. How did the local carnival? You were only there for like 40 minutes? Okay, this feels right. Maybe not. No, this is the entrance. Okay, mind. That's where we came in at. Let's go this way. Probably this way. This feels correct. Grand Soul Gem, don't mind if I do. I think that one still needs to be filled though. I would say 55 minutes, yeah. The hard part sometimes is finding inspiration on things to write about, but on the other hand, I usually write from the heart. There you go. Yeah, I think coming up with that idea of what to write about is usually the hard part. Wow, casting Simulacrum on your follower is kind of a cool move, gotta say. Oh, okay.
Can't hide from me.
Where you be? There you are.
Victory or surrender! Come on.
That storm that was planned, it definitely came. Yeah. Tend to do that. Okay, where is this other Atronach at? Where are you at, Tronach? Get it? I feel like this might be a hidden door or something. It must be upstairs. All right. A lot of honed Nord stuff that we're getting from these Draugr, these high-level Draugr. All right, who's next? Who else wants some? Okay, we got a big battle coming up here. Okay. Where are my thralls at? Where are my thralls at? Where? Okay, sorry. Oh, here they come. They're on the way. There's one of them. Lighting looks cool on the Storm Atronachs. Alright, may as well just cast the other one. Let's see. Frost Thralls? Yeah, let's do Frost Thralls instead. Less damage, more tanky.
Did you hear
Well,
something?
why not a Frost Thrall and a Storm Thrall? Whoa. Twin Belrans, that's making me chuckle. I wonder if that works with like Inigo. I bet it does. But like, ooh, Primal Taunt, what was that? I think that was Arcanum spell. Frenzies an enemy up to 80 for 42 seconds and forces them to attack you, increasing their attack damage for 30 seconds, or 30% for 42 seconds, and reducing their armor by 144. Yikes. So this is more of like, I don't know, like a cleric or some kind of like a tanky type spell. Increasing their damage, but reducing their armor. So this is like more if you're like the tank, you get them to attack you. And if you have the armor and health to withstand it, then their armor is far reduced for like your other followers or whatever to come and do more damage to them. I see how that's supposed to work. Yeah, Arcanum has a lot of nuanced spells like that where there's a trade-off, there's like a strength and a weakness that goes along with them. They're all very interesting. I need to start doing some builds based on Arcanum, but you know, trying to get the base layer mage stuff out of the way with Calendil here. "98 degrees with heat index of 109 here in Oklahoma." So it's a hot one out there, huh? Yeah, we got a hot week coming up here in the Phoenix area too. We're up in the 104, 105 again for highs. At least the lows are deeping down into the 70s now, which is nice. Get a little bit of respite in the mornings and nights. Hopefully this will be like the last week of 100s, but I kind of doubt it. We'll see. We'll see. This week we were under 100 most days, and it was absolutely glorious.
What was that? It's a shame that was necessary.
Yeah, Belrun blew him up with Dawnbreaker there. Awesome. Maybe I should take a quick pit stop here with the enchanter and see if I have anything to disenchant. Probably not, but it's worth a look, I think. Out of the way, Belrand. No, nothing to disenchant. Worth a look. You gonna lead the way? Go ahead, bud. I'll let you take point. I don't mind. I'm a glass cannon. That's what you're here for. Very heavy thunder outside. Yeah, here in our storm season, we call it monsoon season here. We don't get a ton of rain, but we do get some rain. And when we do get the rain, it's very heavy thunderstorms. It's like more thunder and lightning than there is actual rain. And as you can imagine, my dog really loves that. Okay, back in the main area now, and we have both skulls that we can use to unlock Otar. And look, he's already ready to go. Actually, this is a bug with my load order. I don't know what exactly is causing it, but I can actually kill him right now. That would be unfair. I don't want to rob you all of this fight. Okay, everybody's tanking. Now I can attack. We'll remove distorted shape. Otar, the mad man, he is really tanky. There we go. Oh, still going at it. Pop a fortified destruction potion, and that took care of the rest of them. Okay. Easy enough. Alright, what does Otar give us? Increase fire, frost, and shock resistance by 30%. I think I'm good already on elemental resistances, but that might save me a slot or two. Belrand. Pack mule.
Can I help you? Of course.
Take all the heavy stuff from me, please. All the crafting supplies. All the enchanted items that I'm not going to use. Alright, that's good enough.
Anything
good enough.
Holler.
And let's see, I think we also get like a word wall or something in here too. Yeah, we do. Excellent. Daedric Buckler. That's a cool looking item. Okay. Kind's Peace. Oh, almost useless. It's like if you have a calm spell or something like that, then you don't really need Kind's Peace, which, you know, directly affects only animals. Whatever. Might be able to unlock something else with Thunderchild, though. How am I doing on spells? Let's see. Unlock the stuff that I have. I'll keep one Dragon Soul around for Dragonborn content, as always. And then I can go meditate on these words of power over at High Hrothgar and unlock some other stuff. All right, well, this is the end of the stream, I think, folks. End of the 3-hour window. Wow, we got 0 dropped frames this whole time. Oh, God, I can't stop stretching. I might need a nap. Caffeine first, then nap, and then I'm gonna wake up feeling like $100. Yeah, so thanks you all for joining me. Let me know what you think of the new segments, the news, and then the creator spotlight and the mod showcases and everything like that. Trying something new. I'm gonna add the chapter timestamps for the VOD, so if you watch the recording instead of the live stream, you'll be able to jump around a little bit and get to exactly the stuff that you want to get to. And let me know, leave me some feedback on how that went. I want to squish that down into an hour. It went an hour and 40 minutes this time, which was more than half of my stream. I want to get it to 1/3 of the opening discussion, and then 2/3 gameplay at some point. It's just I gotta work on my delivery, I think, and not lingering too long on different subjects here. Yeah, so also if you have any ideas for news stories that you want me to cover, or video game previews that you want me to look at, or mods or anything that you want me to showcase, or even like a creator that you think deserves some more views, leave them in the comments, post them in chat. I'll look at them later, and maybe I can get them in for next week's stream. But I think that's it for me, guys. Take a look in the description below. That's where I'll be hanging out throughout the week, are the streams from those different creators. The Wind, Magus is in there. Mr. B was here. He streams. Maldaroth has been back, who I lovingly call Macadamia, because I couldn't think of his name that one time. He's been streaming some pretty cool stuff lately in Skyrim. Yeah, so take a look. And I think that's it. I'll leave you with some motion sickness here as we spin around. Y'all take care of yourselves, and I will see you next week, okay? See you around. Bye.